Hello everybody. Welcome to another improv stream we're having going on here. Jimmy Faye, you are first. How are we doing tonight? While you're answering that question, Timothy Peters, hello as well. Hopefully you guys are doing pretty good. I'm going to give you some background as to why this stream is actually happening. I was on a stream with another friend of mine who was just finishing up, and we were talking about some games that we grew up with back in the day. And one of the games that I was talking about with him just so happens to be Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. I was actually asking him if he had seen that they were going to be releasing this game tomorrow, as it's not yet tomorrow here where I live. I know I have some people who follow me overseas that may actually not. But hey, here I am. Oops, my camera's not quite there, and I'm advertising for a drink company that I don't really care to advertise for at the moment. So let's move all this stuff over. So yes, this is improv. Definitely not planned. You can see off in the corner here, this console is the Sega Dreamcast. I'm going off of real hardware today, so I have my I'm going to call this my Streamcast. This is my, this is a Sega Sports Black Dreamcast that I picked up at a retro game store about a year ago, and I'm not kidding you, I just took it out of the wrapping, because I have another console over there that's been my workhorse for this channel, but it's all hooked up. I didn't want to tear out all the cables, so this is what I got. As such, this console is not yet set up. I've never tested it. If everything crashes, well, we're going to find out how this goes. Never seen one of those controllers before? In the Star Wars shirt, were you you were ready? Actually, I wasn't. The reason why there was a short delay between when you got off and when I got on is because I went upstairs to grab this shirt and it's all wrinkled. So, no, I was not planning on doing this at all, but Darren is the person who I was talking to. He has a Twitch channel. If you like more of the modern stuff that I don't usually do, he does an excellent job showing all that stuff. Looks like you were playing Prophecy tonight, weren't you? But anyway, Roger Fay. I mean, wow, everyone is hopping on really quick. I don't think I've ever had this happen before. I was curious if anyone was going to show up. But anyway, you can see I got rid of all my PSP games I had stacked up over here. I didn't get rid of them, but I made room for Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. Again, here's the case for this. You're going to see the front of that in a little bit. I paid it's like trying to shave in the mirror. $9.99 for this at a retro game store a couple years back, but I initially had this on PC. I also have this for I like the inside. Like they just don't care about the inside of game cases as much as they used to back in the day, I guess. But anyway, short story long. It's usually supposed to be the other way around. I was talking. Wow, I completely lost my train of thought. Let's just go ahead and get started with the game, and it'll all come to me. I'll listen to your comments as we go through. Now this stuff. There we go. This stuff I was getting set up while I was talking to you. So if I was a little bit delayed in getting back to there. Yes, Roger Foy says this is pod racing. Hey, Jeffrey, welcome to the stream as well. Roger, welcome as well. I'm sorry I skipped over that. And Kiru Godzilla. Hey, remember young Anakin had pod racing back in the Phantom Menace movie? Yes. So this is not the new version. This is the old version. The new version has not been released yet because it is now 10:22 p.m. in my region. That's Central Daylight Time. So if you guys have the new game unlocked already, I haven't even pre-ordered the new game because I thought to myself, I'll get this, but I like to. Look at the... that volume's a little high. I don't want you guys to hear an echo, so... How's the sound on that? Ooh, I only have one channel coming through. I wonder if that's only supposed to be one channel or not. I'm getting my whole setup changed over here so I can easily stream retro games. What's today's date? It is 6/22 still. It's not 1998, which is funny. I think that's when the Dreamcast launched in Japan. And it goes up to 2020. It is Y2K compliant. And we are 2223 minutes. By the way, an interesting tidbit. I know military time. I always do a minute forward just because of that. Will it automatically load? It is. Perfect. So while this is starting up here, the reason why I know military time is because I actually used to work for a company that only kept their time cards in military time. So that's how I learned it. I'm not part of the military, never went in the military. I am just too lazy to go into the military. It's as simple as that. Wasn't scared of getting shot, I was scared of manual labor. Alright, let's see here. Now this is Pod Racing. Pity Pat Matt, welcome to the stream, and thank you. Right on it with a donation tonight. I haven't even done anything yet. And I can't even guarantee this is going to work. I've never tried it. I got a black screen, that's promising. Fine for me, the Sega Dreamcast is a great console. Dryerlint17, welcome to the stream as well. Enjoyed my Tecmo video. Jeffrey says he's an Army veteran, LOL. Hey, you know what? I will always say, I salute you. I appreciate everything you do to keep me safe because I'm not going to do it. I'm going to turn this off and see. Man, because that was taking too long to load. I'm just going to turn this on and make sure it boots to the regular thing. As I said, I got this at a retro game store a little while back, and I've never... Gosh, look at that opening screen there. I never had a chance to try it out. So again, here's the disc. It's just a little reflective. And the GD ROMs, as they're called. See, it kept the time and date. Everything like that looks good. The disc is in immaculate condition, except for that one piece of fuzz. Maybe that's what was keeping it from reading. If this does not work, don't worry. I have 2 other ways to play this game, so I will... Please wait while the disc is being checked. Oh, I wanted to shut off auto load. Is there a way I can do that? Okay, so we're good. It recognizes the disc. This is farther than I usually get on some of these consoles. You can hear that laser moving. Air Force Vet, again, salute you as well. Thank you for your service. Thank you both for your service, if I didn't say that the first time. Alright, we're getting farther. It's a good sign. Oh, they have to license the MPEG codecs. Look at that. You work for a company that did that too, Dan? Yep. OXO, welcome to the stream as well. He says good evening. Roger Foy. Okay, so did I get both of you? Roger and Dryerlint are veterans, different branches. Not anybody and Jeffrey. Okay, so we got 3. Wow, I didn't realize there's so many. I attracted the military crowd here. Dad's an Air Force vet, yep. Both of my grandparents were in the military. There we go. That's the song that's going to get this copyright flag. So I'm going to have to figure out why this is happening, but I already noticed there's an issue with the sound. It's only coming across one channel, so I apologize for that. Again, I'm testing this out as I go, so... Hopefully you guys can hear it, and I know that YouTube is going to be able to hear this and flag it, but I'm okay with that. You're not in, you were out 7 years ago, gotcha. Hooah! I'm probably saying that wrong, and I probably don't deserve to say that. My apologies. Jimmy asks, what's my favorite Sega console? Well, obviously, I'll say the black ones. Is that racist? The black consoles. There we go. Now we're getting that right. Which is sad because that would usually rule out the Dreamcast, but as I showed you earlier, my Dreamcast that I'm using right now is it's the black one. That's this piece of hardware I'm touching right now with my hand. I know it's small in the corner. Some of you are viewing this on your cell phones, I can't see that, but I'm gonna have to get a webcam separate that's not built in that I can pick up and move. I need to get what is that? Anybody ever watched The Late Show with David Letterman and he had the monkey cam, where he attached a portable camera to a monkey and he filmed part of the show like that? That's what I need. I need that. It's interesting that I remember this from all the versions of this game that have cutscenes. They're pre-rendered cutscenes. They don't use scenes from the movie. I wonder if the game was made before the movie came out. I thought this was a launch title, but it doesn't have a date on the back of the case. Yeah, it still doesn't. I'm seeing copyright Lucasfilm, now Disney. It'd be hilarious if it actually said now Disney. But it doesn't have a date on it. If anyone can Google the release date for me, that would be much appreciated. You remember burning this for your Dreamcast in about 2004? Sorry, my bad. That's okay, OXO. Up until I bought this, I had that same version, which is hilarious. My former computer club teacher, Darren knows who this is. I'm not going to say his name on stream because obvious reasons, but he knew I was into gaming my senior year, and he got rid of his Dreamcast. Unfortunately, he did not give me his Dreamcast. I ended up getting that donated from somebody else. But he gave me all of his burned copies of Dreamcast games, and this was one of them. So I've been slowly going back out. I think I've done it now. I'm only missing a couple, where I went out and actually bought legitimate copies of all the games, because I don't want to keep that. You know, I'd like to get the actual discs. Darren says, thank you for your service, fellas. Yep. Dad's an Air Force vet. I think I already saw this, but I'm going back through. So again, if I haven't said so, thank you. Thank you for your service on that one. Oh yeah, I said my grandpa was wearing both the military. Both. One was in the Marines, the other one's the Army. He was a Marine in the Korean conflict. Apparently he got very upset if you call it a war. If you said Korean War, he would... It was a different time. He would, no matter who you were, if I was 3 years old and started saying, he'd smack you upside the head saying, Korean conflict. That's a story from my dad. I was very young when my grandpa died, so I don't remember that personally. Your husband is a disabled vet? Okay, so yeah. Again, thank you again for your service as well. Or for your husband's service. I'm sure you have to put up with him, so I thank you for your service as well. Obi-Wan is a Clone Wars vet. That is a good point, Roger. Everything sounds good here. Thank you. I appreciate that. You love David Letterman who throw stuff off the roof. Hey, I'm not above anything that'll get me ratings, right? I'll throw a non-working computer equipment. If I ever get any, I will throw it off the roof. I have access to a 3-story building. I can throw stuff off the roof there. But right now I don't have any. Oh, you know what I should do? We're recycling some Chromebooks. I bet you the students would love to do that. We can make it a science experiment. Yep, got the late show of Letterman on satellite. Is that still being aired? I would love to see some of those old late show, and that was late night when he was on NBC. I forgot how old or how long that cutscene goes, and I forgot to capture it, so we're gonna have to watch that one more time. I capture everything that I... Oh, you know what? That's the wrong card. I capture everything that I stream and play, because you never know when I'm going to make a video about something. This seems like something that people might want to see a video about. Look at those graphics. There we go, now it's recording. So anyway, this is on the Dreamcast. It actually, from what I've heard, it was actually initially released for the N64, but I played it on PC. I actually have the disc still sitting back there. The box was long gone. I used to keep all my boxes, and my parents didn't like that, so they put them all out in the garage, and when I went to move out is when I found out they were all destroyed. The heat and humidity made them all stick together, warped all the cardboard, dissolved some of the artwork. Yeah, it's still a touchy subject if they bring it up. Oh, so you guys are watching that in the UK? Okay, OXO. So today is tomorrow for you. That's why I said, so you can probably play the remaster version of this right now. It's supposed to come out on PS4 and Switch. Yeah, I do. Call them out, LOL. Oh my gosh. There's a game store in the town next to yours have 5 or 6 Dreamcast consoles and a lot of games very cheap. Jimmy, you should get on that. I would definitely recommend, if you can find them, pick them up, because they're not rare, but they go quick. So that keeps everything going through here. I would definitely recommend picking them up, especially if they're cheap. The graphics are better than what I'm showing you, because right now, here's my setup. I have a VCR hooked up, yes, an actual VCR, because that's the best way to hook up an RF modulated console, such as the ColecoVision and everything else. So I'm gonna do a video sometime on my setup once I get it finalized. I'm on vacation right now, so that's kind of my goal, is to get this set up to where I can stream real hardware at will, and hopefully with low lag. I'm gonna test out the lag on this console here. So anyway, getting back to it a little bit. The game sound is a little loud, can't really hear me. Okay, that's what I thought. That might be too soft, but is that better? I'm sure you guys will let me know. I think the sound is a little bit all over the place when it loads a cutscene versus when it's loading a background, so it may change. I remember that was the thing with the PC version. The PC version really had it on there. Yeah, so I had two of you say that a little bit. Experiment. How big explosion caused by throwing Chromebooks? Oh yes, by the way, welcome to the stream, Adrian. I don't know if I've welcomed you. Everyone else, welcome to the stream. I'm just going to throw it all up in the air there. Brother gave you a Dreamcast. I had a bag, about 1 and 2, complete in the case, Soul Calibur 2, so yeah, you got those. Welcome to the stream, Jag, if I haven't said so, and yes. What was the great thing about it is that people were giving these things away. When they upgraded like their PlayStation 2 or Xbox, whichever route they went, everyone was, literally giving them away. I saw them in garage sales for $5, with a box of games for $1 a piece. But I said this earlier tonight, I wish I could go back to 13-year-old me and just slap some sense in me and say, hey, you should have collected these consoles there. And Soul Calibur is one of my favorite games on here. Just so you know about the boot discs for playing backups on the Dreamcast. Oh, for paying and import games? Yeah, I do have a boot disc. The person who donated the burn copies of the games to me gave me a boot disc. Not all of them need the boot disc, but I don't even want to say the majority of them do, but some of them do, some of them don't. I have the opposite relationship with my parents when it comes to boxes. I would have trashed the boxes for your DS games, but they saved them. Well, see, that's the thing. Cardboard boxes versus plastic boxes, I think, are two different things. But yes, as a kid, I would throw away the cardboard boxes for my NES games, Game Boy games, Super Nintendo games. The boxes weren't important. It wasn't until the tail end of high school, early college years, where I really started thinking, you know what, maybe I should save some of these boxes, because eventually I'm going to want to, like, I was thinking to myself even then, I'd like to have like a little display piece, like these are the games I used to play growing up kind of thing, and, you know, make kind of like a man cave out of it, which I've done. But that's kind of sad now, because trying to collect all the boxes is something different. Alright, so yeah, it's great that you had parents that would save them. It looks like we're ready to go here. So I'm going to go ahead and press start to select VMU. I have 103 blocks free. Oh yeah, by the way, visual memory card unit. I had to take this out of another controller. The memory card has a screen, if you've never seen that on a Dreamcast. And you can load games onto it. I can't pull it out while it's playing, but if you pull it out, this can act like a little mini Game Boy. It's hilarious. Very innovative. They were trying to do anything to get that gimmick in here. Let's go ahead and... Whoops. Oh, it was still timing me out. As I said, that's the problem with rushing to do everything. I have a lot to say, and not a lot of time to do it in. So I'm going to let this go through here again. What's amazing to me is all the Atari 2600 that are still in boxes. Jeffrey, I was amazed at that too. Because, yes, I thought the same exact thing. I found a whole bunch of really cheap complete in-box Atari 2600 games. But here's why it makes sense. A lot of those are probably games that didn't sell. So a lot of stores liquidated their inventory. When everyone got rid of their Atari, they just sat there, and they were probably rarely, if ever, opened. So, yeah, I think that's probably why a lot of them have their cases still. All those games that didn't sell. Live stream equals good. All right, hang on. I'm gonna do free play. Oh my gosh, this is nostalgic to me. Look at this. You couldn't just do a menu. You had to have like a whole room dedicated to the menu. And you haven't had a cutscene to it. Let's save. Whoops. Oh, I didn't want practice. There we go. My initials. See, I realized very quickly my initials for player one start is POS. So I'm just going to do play PLA for play. That's one of the reasons why I almost went with a different name, but that's a whole other story. Pity Pat Matt says, a lot of 2600 games are complete. That's true, yep. It's like the Switch, being able to play on-screen or controller, LOL, way ahead of its time. Yeah, yep. Absolutely. Although the Sega Nomad, if you've ever seen one of those, Darren, those things are pretty awesome. I grabbed one of those a couple years ago, and that thing is slick. It's a Genesis. It's a handheld Genesis console you can plug into a TV, or you can take it on the go. Use 6 AA batteries. It's like a overpowered Game Gear. I really wish I don't know about that back in the day. Well, of course I got to be Anakin, because who are the other drivers? Ebby Endicott. Okay. I haven't heard of any of these people. Dud Bolt. I'm sure there are comic books now that are about to be released at the re-release of this game explaining all the backstories of these integral characters in the Star Wars universe. And I'm sure I'm going to buy every single one of them. Gazgano. He's Gasgano. Okay. Elon Mack. Is that a pun on Elon Musk? Was he that important back in '99? O.D. Mandarell. Okay, that's got to be a play on some sort of Formula One driver. Or like the Le Mans. Which makes sense. Lucas was a really big fan. Oh, we only have 3 tracks because nothing's unlocked. And I doubt very seriously I'm going to do well enough to unlock stuff tonight. But we'll see. Maybe if someone has a Game Shark code, not a Game Shark code, but a game code to skip and unlock levels, you'll let me know. We're going to do, this is the one they showed in the thing, so I've got a choice of 3 up to 5 laps. We'll do 3 because they did 3 in the movie. Racers, do I want 2 or 12? Well, of course I want 12. AI speed, average, fast, slow. Let's go with average, and if I start sucking it up, we're gonna go with slow. Holy cow! You guys are very active tonight. It says there are 2 people waiting for you on the TurboGrafx live stream. Uh-oh. Which link did I send out? That's a good question. I put a link on Twitter like I normally do, and let's see what I sent them to. No, that's going to the wrong. It's not the TurboGrafx 16 one, but it is the wrong link. I'm glad somebody said something about that. Give me just a second here. Let me send out the right link. That's weird because this is the link I'm on, and I copied and pasted it out of here. Oh wait, this is the wrong tweet. Whenever I hear tweet, I think of the song Rockin' Robin. Nope, I was right. Okay, so it's not because of Twitter, but I do have another stream coming out tomorrow. I'm setting all this stuff up so I can do real hardware streaming tomorrow. So it looks like we're good there. But thank you for letting me know that. That makes sense. Got a 6-button Atari for $30. Now I just need to find a CRT. Jimmy Faye. So that, okay, so now I'm back to where I was. Wait a minute, hold on a second. I just missed something. 6-button Atari. Oh, it's not the 6-switch Atari. Okay, I thought you meant there was a 6-button controller for $30. Just need to find a CRT. You know what? This is interesting. I have a VCR. Any VCR. I don't know if you can see this. This is a cable that will convert RX into an AV cord, and if you plug the other end of this into a VCR, if you can find a cheap VCR, that will. I'm gonna let this load. Should I inspect my vehicle? But anyway, if you find a cheap VCR, that'll upgrade it to a composite signal at least. And then a composite signal, you can use a converter to get to HDMI or whatever you need to do. Or there are a lot of TVs that actually just accept composite input still. So there's an RF modulator in the console that'll. So here's my. Good. Remember the Pit Droids? There was a game specifically developed around Pit Droids. It was a puzzle game. It was only available on PC. I think I'm good there. Okay, let's start race. I thought that was going to keep going and do something else. So even still, this is all pre-generated footage, not from the movie. It's kind of amazing. All right. Oh yeah, I never thought of it that way. Probably why the 2600 game boxes. Yeah, that was my thought when I didn't think of that right away. Nomad is the Sega Genesis in a Game Gear size case. Yep, Adrian nailed it on the head. Pity Pat Matt said he's ready for the Ultimate TurboGrafx 16 review. One of the most slipped systems ever. Yep. Oh, it's going to be good. I've already started. I've started scripting the episode for the PC Engine. Oh, look at the washout of the graphics when you're far away. Remember how all the graphics used to fade into existence? I remember this game has it a lot. All right, I'm gonna do a race here, so I may not be on the chat as much. Okay. Oh, the trigger's not go? I wonder if I can change that in my... So I do remember this in the arcade. And the arcade controls were exactly how they're supposed to look in the movie. You had two like levers that you control to control your spin, you know, or your turns. If you remember the arcade version, I would love to actually get an arcade machine with this, or a dual arcade machine with this, if only I had the room. Because it is a different experience in the arcades because of the controls. And using an analog stick is definitely like cheating for this. Alright, I remember this opening was very tricky. And then down here, yep. So, gotta try to avoid as many rocks as I can. And there's a thing too where your engines will take damage as you're racing. Oh, the frame rate.
It's a new lap record.
I just realized this is running at about 30 frames a second, not 60. And on my PC back in the day, it was running at about 60. I don't think this is because of my capture card. I think this is natively being outputted at about 30 frames a second. It's very easy to tell because earlier tonight I was playing a racing game at 60 frames a second, and these graphics do not look the same. I can definitely tell if it's not 30 frames a second, it's definitely slower than 60. But I can tell you this looks so much better than the N64 version. So if anyone thinks it's blasphemy that I'm playing this on the Dreamcast and not... Oh! There we go. I knew that was going to happen. I get to talking. Imagine trying to text while going 384 miles an hour. I can barely talk and do it. Yeah, that opening's very tricky. So average difficulty does not seem to be too hard. That makes me think that this game was really intended for kids.
It's a new lap record.
Of course, who else is going to play this? Can you imagine a Star Wars fan in his mid-30s playing games in his basement? Who'd watch that? I'm actually getting into this. This track does not require a lot of concentration, but if I remember correctly, this is the easiest track. This is like by far the easiest track. I remember the next track after this was a bit more difficult. And I think the only way to unlock more tracks is to play in tournament mode, where you win races in succession. And whichever race you get ranked out of... Oops. Whichever race you get ranked out of is where the track unlocking stops. And but to give an example here we go. Got first.
It's a new lap record.
Oh, I forgot about that. It's a new lap record. All right. I'll be opening up a new tab to get on the waiting. It's not going to start tonight. No way it's starting tonight. But I did want to let you know, yes, I started scripting the Ultimate PC Engine portion of it, because I'm going to start with the PC Engine, the history of it, how they developed it, because that story is completely different from how... Oh, everyone was just passing through me. That story is completely separate from the TurboGrafx 16 part. So the first part is entirely going to be on the PC Engine, the way I'm scripting it now. And then I'm going to talk about in the video after it, when I go over the technology, I disassemble the console, and I do all the other stuff, I'm going to talk about how they ported the console over, because they kind of did a poor job. So that's for the TurboGrafx 16 review. It's in the scripting phase. Since if I had to judge on how long it'll take between now and when that first video comes out, you're probably looking at about a couple months. I hate to say it, it's just that's how it is. It takes a lot of research. I got to track down a lot of clips, documents that are public sourced, so I don't have to pay a license for anything. It takes a long time to get all that stuff together, and then I got to fact check it. I got to reread the script. Most of my scripting is done verbally, so I actually just have to re-listen to it and do all that stuff. So it's a production. It takes a long time to get that stuff going. But I'm definitely looking forward to doing that myself, so I'm glad you guys are doing that. Yes, for the Switch, my bad. Yeah, just experienced from childhood. How's the Retro Bright going? The Retro Bright is actually... The Retro Bright turned out great. And my screen did come in. So yes, this Thursday you'll be seeing it'll be the end of the project for now, and then when I go to talk about the computer more, that's going to be what I use to showcase like the desktop and all that stuff. I'm not going to be able to show original hardware, it's just the nature of the beast for that stuff. But I'm getting it ready for that purpose. Had a friend who used to design game consoles. Really? Oh, like design what your fantasy game console would be based on specs. I've thought about doing that. I've never really done that openly though. It's good you had a friend you could talk about that with. For the CRT, that is, yeah. Oh, you're talking about the switches on the Atari 2600. Okay, sorry. Switch. See, that's probably why you called it button, because switch and switch got me confused there. Not on the. Not a bot on the so movie. Oh yeah, for episode 1. Yep. Love arcade racers because you get a lot of time out of there. Just casually mention that you're going 450 miles an hour in your F-Zero car. That's pretty much what this game kind of is, isn't it? It's like F-Zero for Star Wars. Alright, so the next one is Mon Gaza. Okay, I'm sure they mentioned that in the movie somewhere. I don't know if you would. Usually I fall asleep during half of it. And that's not really fair. I think that Star Wars Episode 1 is... Here's the thing. Is it a bad movie? I don't think it is. Is it a bad Star Wars movie? Yes. But at the end of the day, notice I preface that, it's still a Star Wars movie. So, and I'm not saying this on blind faith, there are lightsabers, there are action sequences, there is an overall arcing story that's more cohesive, I guess, than some of the new ones that they've come out with. And there's a lot of people saying, oh, I bet you miss an episode 1 now. I'm like, well, I never really stopped missing it. I never skip it when I go to view all of them in a row, even though I don't get that kind of time anymore. So I'll defend that Star Wars Episode 1 is not the worst movie. I'd give it like a 60%. Which, again, doesn't make it terrible. It's just barely passable, in my opinion. 6 out of 10 stars, 60%. It's a D-. Barely passable. Sorry, I'm going to have to skim through these comments to get there. The macro reviews you do are great videos. Quick, very creative. Thanks, Pity Pat Matt, I appreciate it. Again, I'm trying it out. There will be, when all the summer of content stuff is over, by the way, if you didn't notice, that's what I'm doing. I am pushing everything that I made during the pandemic, during the shutdowns and all that stuff. I made a lot of videos, and I realized I have a lot of content to push out. So what I'm doing is I'm pushing a lot of it out now, and I'm reserving some back for when I'm going to be too busy to work on the channel, so at least I still have something to put out to you guys. But I'm doing this now because if I did this channel full-time, this is about the level of content you could see put out. But since I'm not able to do it full time, I'm just doing it now throughout the summer since the pandemic gave me time to do all this stuff. Okay, this looks like I'm going to have to learn where the brakes are for this. There's going to be some turns here. Are all of these tracks in the N64 version? I should think about that. Because I can definitely tell you the texture mapping on this is better, is way better than what's on the N64. The N64 is... It's not bad, but it is very basic, and the frame rate on that one is definitely lower.
It's a new lap record.
This is a short track. I don't remember this being the second track on the PC version, but it probably was. Oh, I just lapped someone. This is like the baby park of Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. You guys know what I'm talking about? Baby Park on Mario Kart 8 or the GameCube version of Mario Kart. It's also on Mario Kart 7, I think, for the 3DS. I actually was just playing that because it came with my 3DS. I still haven't shown that on the channel. I gotta get a video out about that sometime. Because there's a lot of people who... Not a lot, but every now and again I still get a comment saying, hey, did I get a 3DS yet? And it's because I haven't done a video showing that I got a 3DS. So I'm gonna have to do that eventually sometime. Ooh. That's 11th. Okay. That was a very short track. I may be able to unlock a track tonight. If that's how it's going to go, that was pretty quick. Here's how it goes. I talk for 5 minutes. I race for 1.5 minutes. So yes, I do appreciate the comments on the micro reviews. I like doing them, and it seems like the only way... I may go back and take some of my other game review videos and condense them down to fit in 5 minutes, because those videos hardly got any views, and I put so much time into them. It just didn't seem like worth it, because I'm like, I can talk about that all day, but I really feel like people want that information kind of quick when it's just for one game. I'm glad I literally stumbled on the fact that if I do a whole bunch of games in a row and just spend a minute on each game on these Ultimate reviews, it seems to be about right. People like that pacing, so tired of the same Star Wars music used over and over in games. Oh yes, and in the Episode 1 generation, I think somebody did, I think it was Game Trailers. If anyone remembers that website, I don't know if it's still up. Game Trailers TV used to put out videos, and they did a retrospective on Star Wars games, and they actually analyzed how many games were released on Episode 1, how many games got released based on Episode 2, and how many games got released on Episode 3. And I think there was like something like 15 computer and console video games released on Episode 1. And that's funny because all the music was all brand new, so everyone got the music license and everything. I mean, it's just crazy. But Episode 2 only had like 7 games. And then Episode 3 only had like 3 games based on it. I'm just generalizing at that point. And that doesn't include games like Star Wars Battlefront, because that goes over multiple games. But it would include a game like Lego Star Wars, the first one, because it covered all 3, Episode 1, 2, and 3. So it's kind of weird how they judged that, but yeah, definitely overkill. And I think that's probably why I'm still as big of a Star Wars fan as I am, because I loved video games and I liked Star Wars, and I played so many Star Wars video games because I'm like, oh, here's another one. Oh, here's another one. So yeah. Hope I can cover the Saturn the same depth in the future when you're done on your other project done. Oh yeah, don't worry. That's like I said, it's on the list. It takes a long time to get those done, so that's why I want to take my time, because I want to do it right. And unfortunately, I don't have, except for now when I'm on vacation and during the pandemic, I want to make sure I do it right, so I take my time, but I don't have a lot of time each day to work on it. Well, Scott Real, welcome back to the stream here. Come on, the first 3 barely mentioned the intricacies. There we go. Why did I have so much trouble with that word? I must need new glasses. Of intergalactic trade law. That is true, just barely. I actually, as a kid, I thought that was cool, and I really remember thinking to myself, that's like C-SPAN, that's cool. Not even realizing how stupid that sounds. I didn't watch C-SPAN as a kid or anything, but I really thought to myself, like, this is like if C-SPAN was like this, I'd watch it. Wouldn't you? They're all floating around each other. Possibly, you never know if the president, or I'm sorry, not the president, who's the Speaker of the House, would start sending commands through a remote to start throwing other senators at each other. I'd watch that. Who wouldn't? Never really a super Star Wars fan, but I thought the movie was okay, not as bad as some folks make it out to be. Yes, like I said, it's not meant to be a perfect movie, and everyone who has been complaining about the new movies being not well scripted or the dialogue not being very good, I'm like, it's Star Wars. It never was. The whole point of this was to be media to be consumed so they can sell more action figures, sell more toys. But at least Lucas himself really cared about the mythology and the Star Wars. I'm sorry, and the story. I said Star Wars, the story. Alright, this is one I remember, so this must be one I had a trouble with. I'm very surprised at how I haven't had to fix any of my engines yet. As I said, your engines get wear and tear, and this is on average difficulty, so they definitely toned it down for kids. But I remember part of the thing on the N64 version, like, see the things in the distance are fading into view? I call that I call that the fog effect in video games, and this is something that you do not see today. The PlayStation 3 used a blur effect for things in the distance. And I think it's because of how sick everyone got from everything looking too foggy. Because the PlayStation did that stuff all the time. PlayStation 1. PlayStation 2 had that a little bit. So when the Dreamcast came out, forgot about the land of 1,000 lakes here. Are we in Minnesota? On the great planet of Minnesota, land of 10,000 lakes. I don't remember, how does a pod that doesn't come into contact with the ground slip on ice? I don't remember that as a kid, but I have a problem with it now. Okay. Oh, fix. Yes, okay, there we go. So did you see that repair icon that popped up for a little bit? You have to hold both triggers down on the Dreamcast controller to actually repair your engine. And I noticed that because one of the fronts of my engines took damage when I hit the wall earlier. Right there, it just took damage again. But if you go to repair your engine, it'll slow you down. But if your engine becomes red, you'll blow up. So that was something I thought was an element of racing that I thought was interesting. Kept the gameplay more interesting than just racing around in a circle. But I think it's because none of the other racers are keeping up with me is the reason why I haven't had to do that very often. Because usually I'd be racing neck and neck with someone, and they'd be knocking into me, they'd be knocking me into walls, or I'd be knocking them on the walls, and eventually I'd have to repair my engine. But again, this is on the average difficulty, this is on default, and I'm just smoking the rest of them. Now again, this is on free play, so maybe when I go to tournament, it'll ramp up the difficulty, but I'm okay with a casual game every now and again. But I could see, like, this game only has like 7 tracks, and for a racing game today, I would think that is very. See, I keep taking damage. My engines do every time, and I'm sliding. Okay, there we go. Yep, my engine's red. I got to repair.
Come on, work!
My engine's kind of smoky. Oh.
It's working!
Okay. So you don't want to repair your engine while going over gaps because then you fall off. I mean, that makes sense. By the way, anyone else just notice how I ended the Skywalker saga when Anakin fell off a cliff and exploded? Oh wait, he's back. Why is he back? The Force. That's not how the Force works. See, what's great is they give you sometimes they give you these wide open spaces, and there's sometimes when they force you into these narrow corridors. And that's where the racing happens. That's funny, it looks like I'm not supposed to be coming out that way. It looks like I'm taking a shortcut. And maybe that is a shortcut if you take that way. This is a long track. It took me about 2 minutes per lap. A little over 2 minutes per lap. I have to think, I don't hear... The drive head isn't seeking or anything, so I bet you it's just dedicated right now to playing the soundtrack. So this is a CD quality audio track that they're using for the background music, and the game is loaded into memory at the moment, so it's a big level with a lot of textures, and all they did was just fill up the RAM, and they're fine. Because believe me, you can hear when the Dreamcast is seeking data. It is harder than all get up to get this. I don't remember this part of the track being that hard. But I finally got the hang of it on the third pass, but man. Each time I jump over those gaps too, it doesn't look like I'm going to make it. Now that I didn't make it the one time. Okay, so none of my engines need repaired. There's a big wide open area. I'm trying to look to see if I'm not taking the right path. Let's go. I keep going right at the fork. Let me go left and see if that's any better. Oh. Nope, that is definitely not any better. Okay, so that one wasn't bad. My best lap, even though I still made a few mistakes. Interesting. Alright. Let's go back and reread some of these comments here. My only Atari console. Hey, Savage Duck, by the way, welcome to the stream if I haven't said anything to you. 3DS is awesome. There's a whole bunch of comments I haven't read. I'm sorry, I'm just going to have to scroll through these real quick. You guys are talking about the Commodore 64. Still don't have one. I have the 1541 disk drive. I have the C2N data, CTN data set. But I don't have a working Commodore 64. And Savage Duck, I agree with you. They are very expensive. If I'm interested in the Star Wars universe, I highly recommend the Darth Bane trilogy. Read the books, loved them so much, got the audiobooks, and continue to enjoy them on your commute. I'll have to take a look into those. I know there's a ton of them that are good. I read... I say like a moron, because I could have got the audiobooks, but the librarian at the both at the public library and at the high school library back in the day, neither one of them let me know that they had the audiobooks to these things. But I read it's called The New Jedi Order. That was intense. The Thrawn trilogy, I've read those. The Han Solo origin story, which is much better. I mean, I actually liked the Solo movie that they did. The Solo movie about Solo. But, excuse me. I'm going to cough here, hang on. And I don't want to cough into the mic. There we go. Every time I see the Elon Mac, I keep thinking they're saying Elon Musk. Alright, so that's the 3 tracks. I'm going to do a tournament and see if I can unlock another track. But, that's what I have available at the moment. But the funny thing is, the format of this actually follows like the old Need for Speed games. Yeah, the ice effect floating thing. Yep, I said something about that too just a little bit ago. You might have missed it because you came in during the middle of that. It is strange to me. Is there a way you can upgrade your racer? Okay, so yeah, there's 7 tracks, and I can't do anything, so I have to choose the first one. Okay, so I get winnings. Yeah, there's a way you can upgrade your vehicle upgrades. I'm hoping that they do online play with this new version. That takes a lot of loading. Oh gosh. How many Truggets do I have? I have 400 Truggets. I'm buying them from Watto. Shouldn't he just loan them to me? He's bad enough I have to be a slave to him. The Force Resurrected. Oh, I like The Force Unleashed as one of my favorite Star Wars games, for sure. That game, that was a game where there was a particular point in time when that game came out when I was frustrated with the job I had, and something that actually kept me sane, this is no joke, was you could pick people up with your force powers and throw them off a cliff, and for some reason that calmed me, because I would imagine who that could have been. I'm in a much better place now, so yep. Does anyone know if there are any good emulators on the Xbox One? I haven't heard for the Xbox One in particular. Yes. But the only thing I keep hearing about is the Switch. But I don't ever, and this is my personal preference, I don't hack or crack any of my consoles if they are current gen. My goal, because like for retro gaming, I've been using the Raspberry Pi for that stuff. I'm just going to go ahead and do the default. Sorry, I was going to do that anyway. But the only consoles I've actually cracked at the moment, I cracked the PS2, so I can load games off the hard drive, the games I most normally play off of that, on my fat PS2, and the Wii. And that's again because I put all the games on a hard drive and just play it off of there. I don't really do emulation on those just because I have a different way of doing it. Although the Wii is probably your best bet for N64 because the Virtual Console release is on there. So if they made a Virtual Console release for it, that's probably a good sign. Okay, so yes, the freestyle, well, I don't know. I should have bumped up the difficulty because this is going to be kind of boring if all you want to do is just see me go in a circle. Yep, and he's gone. Like the little radar you get at the top of the screen. But yeah, I'm sure there are for the Xbox One, but I think there's, whatever I hear, if you look up, what's his name? Hang on. Modern Vintage Gamer. He does a lot of videos about people hacking and cracking their systems, and he does a lot of work on the OG Xbox, the original Xbox, and I think the Xbox 360 with emulation. And from what I understand, the original Xbox is like a powerhouse with emulation. But I don't know how far back you can go. Or how far forward you can go. Like the N64, was that too advanced for the Xbox to emulate? PSP games? Probably. The Raspberry Pi is good for everything but 3D games. So like your Neo Geo stuff will work, most MAME stuff will work if it's 2D. But if it's for 3D stuff, the Raspberry Pi isn't there yet. I haven't heard many good things about the Raspberry Pi 4 yet, offering a significant advantage over. I think it's because they have to take the time to port all of the emulation cores over and optimize them for running on the Raspberry Pi 4, and that's going to take some time because that's all open source. I think most emulation is open source, so it's just people on their free time trying to figure out, hey, can I get this to run on here? And that's, don't hit. So that's part of the reason why emulation's so slow. It amazes me. I think the company that puts the most effort into emulating old consoles is probably Microsoft for their backwards compatibility. But they don't really do emulation on their consoles. They are actually just making sure that consoles can, I guess, be backwards compatible with the older titles if they were to patch it out to work on it. So that's not really. That's why I said it's not really emulation, I guess. If it's still running on hardware that's similar. You would say the Nintendo would be, but Nintendo's been kind of behind on that too. Because the Nintendo, like, somebody came out with a Nintendo emulator years ago. I remember I had a Windows 98 computer that I could emulate all of the Super Nintendo and Nintendo Entertainment System games that I wanted. And then, of course, Nintendo came out with the mini console classics. So, I know I'm talking a lot about emulation, throwing a lot of information out there, not realizing you've probably already moved on to something from the chat. That's part of the problem with doing a game like this, like a racing game. If I take my eyes off the screen for more than 2 seconds, I'm going to crash into a wall and die.
It's a new lap record.
Let me put my chat over here, that way I can see everything. Oh yeah, old computers have gone up way too much. It's because people found out they're collectible. Anything collectible is valuable, right? It's the same as being rare. Anything collectible is rare, anything rare is valuable, therefore anything collectible is valuable. I won 1,200 truggets, alright. So should I even invest in? Yeah, I want to buy parts. Well, is it buy parts or vehicle upgrades? Because I want better traction, I want better handling. There we go. Well, that's interesting. I don't press up and down to go up and down. I pressed left and right to go up and down. And up and down does nothing. Better turning. Better traction. Better acceleration. It's weird. I want to press up and down each time. Wait a minute. That is... Oh, that's too much money. That's why it won't let me buy it. How much money do I have left? I have 1,250. Top speed. Am I out of money already? I am out of money.
You raced pretty good, no doubt to that, huh?
Yeah. I must have done something to waste some of my money.
You'll not find a better deal, eh?
Alright, he can close his mouth. Hey, Stephanie, thanks for joining us on stream. I'm sure... I forgot who you are. Because you said that's your mom's account. I remember that. Imagine playing this with the racing wheel. Thank goodness I don't have that, because I wouldn't even try it. But can it run Crisis? The Raspberry Pi cannot, as far as I know. I'm sure somebody's going to go there and port it now just to prove me wrong. There was a video Modern Vintage Gamer did about emulating on the Raspberry Pi. He was specifically referring to the N64 and why there's not an N64 Classic yet. And he was talking about the Raspberry Pi has a general purpose GPU in it, graphics unit in it. And I can see that being an issue, but I don't really know exactly how much... Oh yeah, this is the Baby Park version of it. Or the Star Wars version of Baby Park. I don't necessarily know if that's the issue that's holding people back, but it's going to take a long time for everyone to code for that GPU to optimize it. And Nintendo is wanting to do it on the cheap. They're already going to have to license some games, the games that they lost license to, like Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie. They need to get at least one of those on there. GoldenEye was another thing somebody said was essential to put on there, but I don't know. GoldenEye is iconic, yes, but it doesn't. I don't think it lives up. I'm sorry. I'm one of the few people who didn't grow up with it, so I played it back in the day. But that single analog stick to control your aiming, give me the Halo and Call of Duty any day. I don't have an Xbox One X. Should I get a 360 for those games? I think you can get one for $30 at your local game store. You can. Tell you the truth, there's not really much on the Xbox One X or the Xbox One S that you can get. There's not really too many things that you can get for the new console that's exclusive. I think that's the big thing that the One X, that Xbox has been missing in this generation, is most of their exclusives are indie games, and they're not really going to be the draw. Oh, look, it's the Victory Haul My Pod racing in. I'll tell you, we get to see a new track tonight, don't worry. We're going to get there. Really, I can't smell it, Jimmy. The Switch version's coming out tomorrow. Anyone else excited? That's, hey, Demon Rage, by the way. Welcome to the stream. Savage Duck says yes. I didn't see that for what you were saying, so I don't remember which one. Oh, you're saying you're excited for the Switch version coming out tomorrow? Yeah, probably. Yep, that's why I'm streaming tonight. It's going to look a lot better tomorrow, but this is what it looked like on the Dreamcast. I should start doing that right before they keep coming out with these remasters. Like, I just bought Dark Souls for the PlayStation 3, and then they announced the remake. I'm like, you know what, the day before the remake, I should probably stream that game and just, you know, why do you need to wait till the game comes out if it's already been out? Like, where's the hype behind that? In terms of, oh, I can't wait to see the gameplay footage. Anything else like that? I guess, oh, I wanted to upgrade my pod racer, but I guess I won't. Maybe if I wait another thing. As someone who's played GoldenEye only recently, I don't think it's that amazing. The level objectives are confusing to you. Yeah, it's like I said, it was good for its time. It was groundbreaking for its time, and it was excellent for its time. And I get that part of it, but yeah, it's. Hey man, it's all good. I enjoy playing old consoles. Still have all your platforms. Yep. And that's the thing too. The reason why people are so concerned about like these mini consoles and doing all this other stuff. Oh yeah, this is the long track. The reason why people are so concerned is because not everyone can own all these old consoles. And to tell you the truth, it's only been the last 4 years where I've had the space to do all this, because before I moved into my house, for a couple of years I had an apartment. It was just a 3-room apartment. It had a bedroom, a kitchen, and a bathroom. That was pretty much it. So I had a game collection. I left a lot of it at my parents' house. And they were, for those 2 years, like, okay, you got to come back and get all this stuff out of the house. I'm like, where am I going to put it? Do I have to pay for storage somewhere? So unless you have the space, and I understand that, especially when you start having kids, I now understand why. I remember thinking to myself, my dad had this record collection that we weren't allowed to touch when I was growing up. Oh, I forgot about the ice. And I remember too, I was thinking, because I liked the way, I don't know, I just was really fascinated by records as a kid, and I do remember this, but he had a record collection that he had, and I'm sure he's pretty proud of it. He must have spent a lot of time collecting them, but eventually he sold them off, and he sold them off when I was really little, and I always kept thinking to myself, like, I know he liked it, he listened to them, why did he sell all that stuff off? And I get it now as an adult, as I've seen all my friends start going through all their belongings when they have kids, or they start having families, or you've had to move a lot of times. And some people might say, well, your dad's probably, didn't want to move all the records again when he moved. They've lived in that same house for the past 33 years. And according to, if my dad has his way, he'll die in that house. I don't think he plans on going anywhere. My mom might want to downsize sometime, but sure he doesn't. So I definitely get that people can't. The other thing too is, maybe you didn't have the space to keep them. Did your parents go through? Did they give them a garage sale treatment? The only reason why the consoles that I have survived is because I stored them in a part of the house that my parents never go to. I stored them in the attic. And I'm sure it just did a wonderful job up there because it always got hot in the summer, cold in the winter. But I mean, they still work. So thankfully, all the childhood consoles that I got tired of, I put them in a box, I put them in the attic, and my parents didn't know I was keeping them. Because yes, they were of the mindset of we need to get rid of this stuff. And that's sadly the reason why I really wish that I was able to go back and keep my first computer that we had. It was a Pentium. I actually don't remember them. Oh, that's gonna hurt. Yep. Okay, it's on lap 2 though. Sorry, lost my train of thought. Oh, my first computer was a Pentium 1, 133 megahertz processor. We got it in 1996, and I can actually find the computer by I think I have the model number on my website now, so I wouldn't forget it. But the reason why I wish I would have fought for that more, because my parents again hand-me-downed that computer to me, and then of course it couldn't connect to the internet anymore. It was kind of pointless to keep. It was just it took up a lot of space in my room. And my mom eventually gave it to my brother, and he eventually got rid of it. Same thing with the second computer we got given to another one of my brothers, and that probably when he moved, that probably got left behind in the dumpster. And I didn't think about it then. I'm like, yeah, I'll probably never want to use these old computers again. I can just keep, as long as I keep the discs, I can just play it on any computer, right? If I want to go back to myself. But that's the thing too. So I understand why people are really wanting to get into emulation, really wanting to get in, because yeah, you can't. Number one, it's very expensive to go out and recollect all these consoles again because they're collectible. And the second thing is, I understand you couldn't keep everything from your childhood. I mean, I'm sure there's some things that you did keep that were more important to you and didn't take up a lot of space, more importantly. So, yeah, I'm more into playing these games on the old hardware. And that's another thing, too. People don't want to admit this, and I don't know how much time we have left, but there's a finite amount of time that we have left with these old systems where they're still going to work. Darn it, I did it again. So, these aren't going to last forever. The discs aren't going to last forever, so I'm kind of like, to the point where like, emulation may still be around 50 years from now. Is this hardware still going to work 50 years from now? I should get my gameplay now out of these old systems while they're still working. Or you can just follow the Sony model of backwards compatibility. Oh, did you buy that game for $60 back in the day? Well, here, you can buy it again. Oh my gosh! If that cost me the race, I'd be upset. You bought this game brand new back in the day for $60. Here's the same exact game, barely upscaled, not optimized, for another $60. They did not hesitate on doing that on the PlayStation 3. Like, they immediately removed the backwards compatibility because of the hardware issues and the cost associated with it, and then immediately started charging to download backwards compatible titles. Oh, I feel like I said enough to spark the chat for a while. Fan the flames for a little while longer, am I right? Alright, let's check this out. Demon Souls, sorry, not Dark Souls. Yes, Demon Souls is what I meant. Sorry, yeah, you're right, I did say Dark Souls, but I meant Demon Souls. On the PlayStation 3, right? Playing South Park for the N64, now that's old school. I do remember when that game came out, I was so upset because I didn't have an N64, and then I found out years later, it came out on the PlayStation 2. On the PlayStation 1. It came out on the PlayStation also. Yep. I did, and when I did finally play that game, when I collected an N64, yeah, that game, it's a game. And what's great is that it's completely different from their recent games. And I think that's very intentional. because they built it like a first-person shooter, and everyone's like, "Oh, first-person shooters are all the rage." Games felt more complete back then than now. Yeah, like I said, there's no DLC on this, and there's no online subscription required for multiplayer. You just, actually, no, it does not say it's online compatible, but it is compatible with the VGA cord, which I don't have. So what you're seeing, this console is capable of better picture than I'm showing. It's just because, like I said, this is just being set up. I don't have the optimized setup yet, but I'm sure by the time I'm done with all this, I'll have the more optimal setup. Man, I was way ahead of them. I should have upped the difficulty. I'm saying that now, but I'm also looking at the alternate universe where I am rage quitting right now and be like, well, looks like we don't see anything else. So this is Aquilarius? Aquilarius. Okay. Okay. Remind me that I need to upgrade my car. There we go. Before continuing. Did I know about a video game magazine called Sega Visions? So, Jimmy, that's not specifically, I don't know it, but it's come up in my research. So,
He always wins.
hey, look, it's Jar Jar. Look at his blocky polygon form. That makes me smile for some reason. I'm really loving and appreciating the fact that they're remastering some amazing titles. Yes, I agree with that. So that's the thing, too. I'm playing this because I have 3 copies of this game, really. Do I need all 3 copies? No. But I'm a collector. Of course, I found them when they were cheap. But this is the only one I went out of my way to specifically collect. Because, and that's, you can see the price on there is $99. I went out of my way to collect this game because I wanted to get it for the Dreamcast, because this one's the closest to the PC. And the PC version, the original disc that I have, is only compatible with Windows 98 setups and with specific types of graphics cards. It is incredibly hard to get running today. There was a website that was putting out a cracked version where they are able to upscale the original game and make it run on Windows 7. But last I saw, there was like a virus attached to it. So it's not, yeah. There's probably a way around that, but it wasn't secure, so I didn't play it anymore. Really? So we already read that comment. I think that some companies today make incomplete games. Yes. So it's a double-edged sword. And I saw this coming back when Xbox came out, and Xbox said, we're putting a hard drive in the console. And my first thought was, oh no, DLC. And it wasn't called DLC. Then I thought, oh no, there'll never be a complete game again. They can just sell you part of the game and then finish it later, and if it doesn't do well, you don't need to bother completing it, so you can save money. That was my thought back in 2001 as a 14, 15-year-old kid. Sorry if that's getting annoying. I can mute him if that's something I have to turn down. But yes, and my thought was, and this is back then, obviously I've changed my tune today, I said Microsoft is going to ruin gaming the way they run PCs. Kids can be terrible, can't they? That was my own thought too, and I definitely don't think that today, but yeah. You do love retro, yep. Well, I definitely do too. You know what I mean? There's some good games missing some mechanics that can improve gameplay. Yes. Yep. Actually, one of my favorite, no, I don't want to say favorite, one of the better games that I played recently that was modern, I actually streamed it, was Mother Gunship. I was kind of surprised at how much I like that game. There's absolutely no story. There is a story, but I say nope, no story. It doesn't take itself too seriously, and it's just fun. It's just, you just go in there, you play for a little bit. I can come back to that game 6 months later, pick it up and play it again, and have just as much fun. The game mechanics are that solid, I think, on that game. Really good recommendation I saw from someone else on YouTube. Imagine 20 years from now, emulating current game clouds and cloud-based would be impossible. Yeah, Mickey Mouse, you have a suspicious name there. Disney's going to come out with as soon as they find out how your name is pronounced, Disney's going to put a ban on your account. I'm teasing, by the way. That's sarcasm. I do that a lot on here. But yes, you do make a good point. That's part of the reason why I like some of these older games. And if you see some other YouTubers, part of their mission is to preserve some of these older gaming classics that aren't being.
Outlanders. They come here out of this
There we go, I can buy that now.
They come here. Mess up my
Lalo Batum.
There we go.
Achubananaya.
Good.
Titakimaria.
Doesn't look like I can buy anything else, does it?
They come here. They look around. They know buy. Why nobody buys?
Alright. So this is a new track, haven't done it yet. Even some of the hype games today, some people don't like how low. Yeah. I was actually just listening to something, a hyped game back in 1999. It was some podcast thing I was listening to, and they had a clip from that. They were talking about this game that I don't even think was released, and it never got released, and I thought, I didn't even know that game was supposed to exist. But hearing people talk about how hyped they were for it kind of got me like, yeah, why didn't that game come out back in 1999?
Perfect setting for one of the most scenic pod races in the galaxy.
Wait till tomorrow to get a better version of this game, fingers crossed. I don't know if it's going to be better. I'm hoping it puts me in the mood of nostalgia. DLC isn't necessarily bad. Yeah, that's why I said it's a double-edged sword. Yeah. It can be bad, and it can be used for bad things. I think the NBA 2K20, their problem wasn't necessarily DLC. Their problem, and I will never buy another one of those games again, for two reasons actually. And I say that now, but in 5 years, of course, I'll forget. And I'm like, oh yeah, they make good games, don't they? But they pretty much got away with selling gambling to kids. You saw NBA 2K20 came out, they had that slot system set up. Alright, hang on. I'm going to pause this so I can catch up with this. But yeah, they put slot machines in there for microtransactions, and they were basically selling gambling to kids. And they did, I think it was either Nintendo caught them doing that, or Sony caught them doing that, and they had to pull the game, like shut down all the online services and restructure it so that it wasn't gambling for kids. And then WWE 2K20, all the videos you see about how bad that game is true. My friend got that game just the other day thinking, okay, they probably patched out the bugs. They did not. That game is still broken. So, I don't know. Maybe those two specific franchises don't sell enough for them to invest money to fix those problems. But yeah, that's why I said it's a double-edged sword. On the other hand, too, I'm trying to think. There's a game I'm trying to think of where the game came out extremely broken at first, and then they patched it, and it actually was really good after. I don't think it ever overcame the stigma. What game am I thinking of, if you guys can think of it? It never overcame the stigma of that initial launch, but they did the right thing. It came out with a bug that was probably they were probably too far along into production, probably pressed too many discs already, and they couldn't roll it back, or else it'd be... Yeah, NBA 2K nowadays is disgusting. Yeah, like I said, I don't plan on buying another one of those games until they fix those. Though any game in the $100 price range would need to have a trial or a return policy. Yeah, that's the thing. They got... Maybe it is No Man's Sky. You might be right, Savage Duck. I can't think of it. It's not a game I purchased. I just remember seeing people saying that how much better the game was and how much improved it was, and why people should be getting back into this game, but they aren't because they're too afraid that they're going to get burned. But yes, I think they need to bring back game demos. They really need to bring back game demos. Let you try the game out. And again, there's another YouTuber, Ben Heck, if you guys know him. He was talking about... I don't think he's... I'm paraphrasing here, so I'm not going to say I'm saying his beliefs, but I think what the message he was trying to get across was that games should not cost $60 into infinity. The cost is going to go up, so the price should go up, and the quality should all go up. So I think that was the message he was trying to get into. So he's like, yeah, I don't think I would have a problem paying $100 for a game if it was good, but if I'm going to pay $100, there should be no DLC I have to pay for. You know, like there's certain things I should get the entire game. I should get updates and patches, support for a while, things like that. But that's the thing. The problem is we live in a. I don't know if that model definitely wouldn't be sustainable. You can't charge $100 for a game and expect people to go out and buy a whole bunch of copies of it. It's a lot better for them to say, "Oh, this game's only $60," or even better, some games be like, "Oh, this game's only $30," and then they make it up with, "Oh, well, you only got part of the game. You gotta." You gotta buy this DLC to get this. You gotta buy this DLC to get that. In some ways, the people who wanted to save money are still going to save money, but the people who didn't mind paying the money for the whole game are going to get the whole game, and they're not going to mind paying for it. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know which way is better, but I think from a marketing standpoint alone, they're going to keep shelling them out. Hey, it's $60 a game. Maybe they'll go up $10 more. They're like, hey, it's $70 a game now. New generation. Think about how many times how much more work it is to put into a game that's going to be a AAA title on these systems where they have to literally sculpt. Like if you're doing an NBA game and you have an artist that is specifically, or a team of artists that is specifically devoted to, designing. What's my example? The freckles on the face of somebody. You have it that's just, and sweat. Someone said apparently better graphics means more sweat in sports games, and I'm like, okay, so that too. But I'm talking about, the problem is, what I'm talking about are just the people in the crowd. They probably have a team of artists that all they do is design people to stand in the crowd, and they're designing how much sweat they have and how many freckles they have. That stuff costs more money than what they used to do back in 1999 in one of my favorite games, which was WWF Warzone, where they look like paper people. I'm sure they had somebody design those people, but it wasn't a team. It wasn't of that involved of an effort to design the crowd back then.
Come on, work!
I gotta repair my engine. There we go.
It's working! It's working!
So, hey, he says that in the movie. So I completely understand the double-edged sword of modern games. But when I play retro games, I don't have to worry about any of that. The most I pay for a game, on average, is somewhere between $4 and $15. Because some artist already went through and designed this game, they've already gotten all the money they need out of it, and the studio that put out this game was apparently not going to make any more money out of it unless they remake it, which they are. So I can get these a lot cheaper. Oh, of course. I don't remember the game being this easy. Is it because I'm older now and I've become more accustomed to video games? And one thing I want to comment on, I haven't done so yet, is how comfortable the Dreamcast controller actually is to hold in practice. I've heard several people talk about how terrible the Dreamcast controller design is, and I have to wonder if they've actually honestly sat down and played a game with it. Because right now, like, the triggers are easy to handle. There's these grooves on the back of the controller that my hand fits into just perfectly. I mean, I don't know, to me it feels right. It doesn't feel bad when you're holding it. Doesn't look the greatest, I'll say that. The aesthetic of the controller is a little off, but overall, comfortable to hold my hands, very responsive. I have full control over the analog stick and the D-pad, and the two triggers here. Now, it's missing the other two shoulder buttons, but I don't think you really need that unless you're going into the fighting games. Whew, No Man's Sky, okay. Any EA title nowadays is horrible. NFS Heat is good. Did Need for Speed release just an online-only version of Need for Speed? I didn't even realize I own that version. Just the regular Need for Speed Online. It must have come with the PlayStation Plus subscription at one point. Hey, Mackenzie. Hey, Tyler, I'm on my way home from work. See you soon. Hey, no problem. Thanks for joining us on your way home. EA is just a microtransaction company. Maybe I'll pull up that picture. Everyone's seen it, but I'm going to pull up the picture anyway. Yeah. Oh, look at this. Tons of them. Oh, I love it. All right, let me. I don't have a scene already set up for that. Let's make one. Well, no, I'll just import it into this one. I want a browser capture. That's what I really like. Add existing. Oh, that's not the right one. I did this last time I tried this out. I don't want a browser, I want to add a window. Yeah, window capture. Okay. Nope, that's not it. Oh, yeah. It's a Chrome. Google Chrome. There it is. This is EA's new controller, guys. I really like it because I just like that one. The credit card inserts right into the controller. I don't think these ones are as creative because I really like that it's EA branded. You got to know the brand there. If you guys haven't seen that before, that's hilarious to me. If a game costs $100, I will stop buying new games. See, Savage, and that's why I think that they don't just flat out charge the $100. If you want to be a gamer on a budget, fine, but you're gonna have to deal with only having part of the game. That's the game company's perspective. Now, my perspective on that is, then the game company's gonna have to deal with not making as much money because, yeah, I'm not gonna pay that much for a game, especially for these sports titles. I think that's the biggest thing. That is probably, all right, I'm gonna hide that. That is probably the biggest thing that I think. Who in their right mind is spending $60 a year per sports game on sports game? So let's say I like golf games, I like football games, I can tolerate soccer games. I don't know if I'd buy them new. Baseball games are okay, and basketball games are okay. Those are the sports games that I would probably play. I do like tennis, but I wouldn't buy that every year. $60 a piece, okay, for the base versions. Let's say I really like football. I gotta pay $120 for that. If I'm really into all those sports, that's $120 a game, and I'm spending that yearly. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. And I know this is not how much game companies are making. This is just in gross sales. This is how much it's going to cost me out of my pocket. I had to pay $120 a game, and that's probably generous. There's probably more expensive titles out of there. Times 5 sports games a year. That's $600 a year. Over the lifespan of the PlayStation 4, because I can't do math in my head, I would spend $3,600 just on sports games if I bought nothing else. I don't think I've spent $3,600 on modern games in this generation. It's just, that's insane. Sorry you guys got me on a rant here, so. I don't often get much money on it. I don't often get much money on it. Usually it goes to retro games. Modern games is an investment, yep. Scott Reel, you say the Pizza Hut demo discs are the reason why you bought the whole Final Fantasy series and briefly got into Tony Hawk. Love anything like that to come back. Is that in... No, it's not at arm's reach, but give me a second. Are you talking about these Pizza Hut demo discs? Look at these things. The Final Fantasy one is on this one. Final Fantasy VIII and Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. This is the game that got me, this is the disc that got me into, sorry, other side, Ape Escape. That's the game that sold me on Ape Escape. Look at the back of that thing. Could have won $500,000. Yes, these things are... These are the ones that we went to Pizza Hut. My brother and I both got a personal pan pizza so that we could both, so we can get both discs. And there were 2 of them that come out. And I still have them. Just because they were in a box that my parents are going to throw out. And I'm like, oh, no, you can't get rid of those. Look at that. And I'm sure... Oh, yeah, sorry, try again. We didn't win the 500,000. So... And you know what's funny? Is that I'm sure if you go on eBay, these things are listed for like maybe $20, $30 a piece. Or maybe if they're generous and a lot for both of them. Yeah. That's because I would actually have almost as much fun playing the demo discs and just moving on to another game than I would if I just bought the whole game and just bought one game. It was more fun that way. And that's what I do on the stream too. I rarely play through an entire game on the stream. Exactly those. The Dual Shock for the Escape, yes. Yep. One of your largest investments as a kid. Wow, the nostalgia, yep. Oh my gosh, I still have Ape Escape as well. And at one point in time, I do want to stream that game because that's a game I think has been forgotten. I keep wondering, now that Sony is starting to realize that they need to bring back some of those old franchises that got them started, when they're going to realize they need to bring back like a lot of their old PlayStation 1 Twisted Metal. Are they ever going to bring one of those out again? EA, I don't understand why people think we're just a bunch of bad guys. Are you talking about the gamers or the people at EA? I'm not particularly against EA. I'm actually my biggest. The reason why I'm not as much against EA. Number one, nostalgically, I grew up with them. I loved their games growing up, so I'm sure it's just a matter of, me getting older and getting more grumpy. Apparently, old people get grumpy as they get older. I'm in my mid-30s, so if I'm this grumpy, whatever. But, sorry, I'm also reading the comments as I'm trying to talk, and that's not working out. So, one of my big things with EA is just, around 2009, I realized just how much EA was starting to part out their games, and that's when I stopped buying them. I had a rule for EA games that I would buy one of each game in each generation. So when I got a PlayStation 2, I bought Madden 2001. That's the only Madden game I owned the entire time I had a PlayStation 2. A couple years later, I got NASCAR. When EA was doing NASCAR games, I got one. My brother got one of those, and then I got. Was that the only ones? I'm sure I got a golf game, probably Tiger Woods at that point in time too. Yeah, I mean they've completely gone into it for the money, and the problem is it's the same as like the Call of Duty franchise. The publishers that started it, that really put their heart and soul into it, are now only in it for the money, and they're parting it out to game studios that are just trying to make a name for themselves. So yeah, and that's the thing. I don't mean to say that's a bad thing either, that they're in it for the money. I'm glad they're in it for the money, and I hope they keep making money doing it, because I want to see more games. And eventually, just like with Star Wars Battlefront, the first game was horrid. I immediately regretted getting that game. My parents got it for me for Christmas because I asked for it, and I was so disappointed in Battlefront. But Battlefront 2 is a step in the right direction. I haven't played Fallen Order yet. I'm waiting for the price to go down. So, but I've heard that game is phenomenal, even better. And then they just announced another game coming. So, I'm glad they're taking steps in the right direction. So that's just all I can say, is that they want to keep making money. They understand the frustration. So I'm glad they seem like they're taking steps to appease their fan base. I really do. I really think that's I always want to be more optimistic and positive, because if I'm right, that's awesome. If I'm wrong, well, what was I out? I didn't worry about it. I wasn't mad about it. I was optimistic. And yeah, I have like 4 minutes of disappointment before I go back to playing my retro games. So they spend unnecessary funds on things they don't need, and they use those funds to improve the game. Yeah, that was something. You know what's strange is I told you I was listening to that podcast about a game that didn't come out. That game development studio they were talking about has since gone under, and they said the same exact thing 8 years before that whole company went under. So can you imagine, in 8 years, EA ceases to exist? That's something crazy. What about Who puts out the 2K games? That's not Sega, is it? I think they split off into 2K Studios. I can't remember anymore. NBA 2K20. What in the world is with Google tonight? My search has changed completely. Yes, 2K Games and 2K Sports. Are they a subsidiary of anyone? Let's put the window back up here so you guys can see what I'm looking at. There it is. They are a subsidiary of... Take-Two Interactive? Oh, that explains a lot. Do you guys know who Take-Two Interactive is? I will gladly take you down this journey. Founded January 25th, 2005. I bet you that's from people who left Sega. Let's see here. American video game publisher. Founded under Take-Two Interactive. Because Sega Sports used to do 2K, like NFL 2K1. They did those. Formation, initial growth. This is Take-Two Interactive, yeah. And then Take-Two invest in developments of sequels for Grand Theft Auto 2 and 3. Yep, where's their list of games? There it is. This is just, this is 95, they were that old. Let's take a look at some of their games I have here. Sorry if this is completely not what you wanted to see. We're talking about Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, and yes, Take-Two Interactive owns Rockstar now, and Red Dead Redemption, yeah, Take-Two was actually, they were specifically just a company that ported games initially, I thought. It's like here, Wheel of Fortune for the N64 they did for Game Tech, because Game Tech owned the license for that for a long time. Same thing for Jeopardy. What's Lula Virtual Babe? Sorry if this is not interesting, but I'm just interested to see. Yeah, here it is, A Bug's Life for PlayStation. This is what I specifically thought of when I heard Take-Two Interactive. Traveler's Tales developed it, and I think Take-Two Interactive published or got the rights to it. I can't remember. But yes, that was the first game I owned on the PlayStation. My brother got Need for Speed, Porsche Unleashed, and I got A Bug's Life. Oh no, I'm sorry. I got Crash Bandicoot 3, but my parents felt guilty that they bought my brother a full-fledged $40 game, and they bought me the cheapo, I think it was like $15 when they bought it. So they also bought me A Bug's Life. Which is funny, they felt really guilty because the only reason why they felt guilty was because I wanted an N64, my brother wanted a PlayStation, and they went with what my brother wanted instead of me, and I was livid. I mean, of course, when I say livid, I wasn't disrespectful towards my parents because that would earn me a crooked right hand, but no. But yeah, they knew I was upset, so they were trying to make it up to me. Gosh, look at that. Okay, so this is games published and then games distributed. Tom Clancy Rainbow Six. Yeah, they have their hands on a lot of different things. Why does this only go up to 2006? Does someone own Take-Two Interactive now? Nope, they're currently here. Yeah, they have the BioShock series, Borderlands, Civilization, Grand Theft Auto, Mafia, Max Payne, NBA 2K, WWE 2K, and yeah, you can tell they really... Red Dead Redemption, though, that's gotta be because they don't have as much in there. Okay, I'm off it now. I'm glad that I can pull that up at whim and just start talking about that stuff. 2K is Take-Two Interactive, yeah. I think I'm starting to see that, so there's pretty much no difference between those two. But Take-Two Interactive used to be its own thing. And they were specifically to port stuff over. F-Zero export would be cool. Hopefully they port more N64 games to the Switch. What games have they done so far? Is it like Doom 64 and what else have they ported from the N64 to the Switch? Doom 64, though, made it to everything. That's on the PS4, if I remember, too. Take-Two Interactive owned Rockstar, yeah. You like the GameCube more because the PS2 has more pressure-sensitive buttons, yeah. Oh, yeah. I forgot that was a big thing on the PlayStation 2 controller. Like, what's the difference between the DualShock 1 and the DualShock 2? Oh, they're like pressure-sensitive buttons. That was literally the only difference. It was a gimmick to make sure you bought new controllers. Oh my gosh. Doom 64 and now Star Wars Racer. So that's what I'm wondering. Star Wars Racer came out for everything too. Is that an N64 port? Because that's also coming to PlayStation. PlayStation and the Switch are both getting this game. Sorry, I've been talking way too much about other stuff. People who watch this stream, if they rewatch my stream in like 6 months from now, they're going to be like, what in the world is this guy talking about? I wanted to watch a video on... Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, not some old guy gives his opinions on why EA is bad, and how gaming isn't the way it used to be, and how he wouldn't pay $100 for a game. YouTube's like a box of chocolates. Darn it, I'm just short.
You break, you buy, huh?
YouTube streams like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get.
Outlanders, they come here. How do they find me?
I didn't need the air brake, but whatever.
Mess up my store, huh?
I have actually, when I've been racing, I have yet to tap the brake. That's the... if they can do that with the Wii, just imagine what they can do with the Switch, yep. Nintendo is sitting on more money called Virtual Console, yes. And that's the thing, someone was talking about it too, who was talking about emulating like an N64 Mini. I don't think Nintendo will go that route because they can make more money selling the games individually through a Virtual Console style system on the Switch. And the Switch is powerful enough to emulate much more so than the Raspberry Pi, because it has a game-specific GPU that's meant to push out polygons. This looks very dark. I'm going to pause this so I can catch up on comments, and then I'll go on my next rant. Okay, hopefully the games run good on the platform so they can add more ports. Yep, I agree. What are you talking about, Tyler? Just kidding. I love talking about the video game industry. Yeah. I don't think I've ever watched a video game stream for the stream itself. I'm definitely here for the tangents. Oh, yes, and you know me. I can go on a tangent for a while. See, this is the stuff that... This is one of the reasons why I started the channel. Nobody I talk to on a daily basis wants to hear this. And it's kind of fun, and it does perplex people. It perplexes everyone that I personally know and hang out with in my social circle. Not everyone, I should say. My coworkers, some of my coworkers are into this stuff, kind of get it. But family, definitely not. I guess one of my brothers does. He thinks it's kind of neat. He wants to start his own podcast for like racing and things that he's interested in, because he gets it. He gets it. I'm into video games. There's other people that are into video games. My parents don't get it. My closest friends don't get it. And this is my outlet. This is where I can get out. And I'm surprised, me personally, I'm surprised that there are other people who are in this and want to talk about it with me. So hopefully it's us having a discussion. It's not just me talking out to you. Even their own players, EA, complain about the company. Oh yeah, mostly FIFA players we're talking about. Yeah. Do you guys remember? Gosh, it was 2 or 3 years ago, that huge lawsuit that college players filed against EA Sports and their NCAA licenses because they were using player likenesses of college players, but college players aren't allowed to get compensated for it. So who was getting the money? Yeah, there was a huge thing about that. I don't remember how it ended, but I remember there was a court case about that. And EA, of course, I think if I remember correctly, the EA responded that they just wouldn't use player likenesses because they didn't want to pay them. This is a lot darker than all the other ones. I think that's where the challenge is supposed to be in this one. Like, I just passed something, I have no idea what it is. I need to get my light switch in here converted to a smart light switch, because I definitely need to turn on the light so I can see this track. Oh, I got an itch. So I'm able to go a little bit faster than I was before. I'm in the 400s more consistently now. And yeah, the graphics on this version are much more closely, are definitely a lot closer to the PC version. Oh. Oh, how did I miss that? How am I supposed to get that? I bet you that's why I was supposed to upgrade my top speed. I probably can't make that jump at all. Oh. And there's where I was supposed to use the air brake. Yeah, this is what I remember. I don't know if I'm going to make it past this track. I guess my acceleration's still good enough where I can recover, but... yeah, this is where they didn't want you to beat the game in one sitting, so... this is the track that would probably halt my progress most of the time. But I remember on the PC version, I eventually unlocked everything in the game. Back when I had time. But that said, so I guess at one point in time during the stream, while I'm thinking of it, because I did forget to mention this, my question, I thought somebody was going to ask is, am I going to buy this game tomorrow when it comes out? And I can't say for sure. I think it'll have to go down in price. Are they? And then here's my other question: are they going to release this physically? Yeah, my top speed's not high enough. And then same with here. Yep, same. So, yeah, I'll have to. I'm definitely gonna check it out and see what other YouTubers think of it. If someone else streams the game tomorrow from the Switch, I'm definitely interested in the Switch versus the PS4 because I want to know what the graphics look like. If they're just porting the N64 game over to the new consoles, I'm probably not gonna buy it because I didn't care for the N64 version of this game. It's a watered down, lowered frame rate mess of a game. They can probably enhance it a little bit, make it run at 1080p, but the texture and maybe update the textures. But I don't think it's going to be. If it's just the N64 version, I am not going to be happy. That's the thing, because I can play it. This is better than the N64 versions on the Dreamcast. I already own it. But like I said, I'll have to see how it performs with everyone else. And this is a game I would have no problem coming back and playing. Oh, I almost made it that time. So what am I doing wrong? Am I supposed to... I'm probably supposed to press the analog stick back or something. I didn't even think about that. Ooh, there we go. Took a hit, but I didn't explode like I thought I would. That's the thing, I only have a limited amount of time to fix it. There we go. Still gonna win, though. That was lucky. That was still my best time. It's a new lap record. So you think it's only digital? So that's going to affect my decision as well. Limited run games is probably going to pick it up and do a limited run of it, and that's going to be too expensive, and I'll say, darn it. So if it's backwards compatible on the PlayStation 5, I may get it for the PlayStation 4 and just let it go going forward. Hope I'll have enough gold points left over on the gift card to get it on the Switch. Yeah. They didn't mention anything about a physical copy, and it's going to be $20. Hopefully it is. Okay, that's not a bad price. I bet you if that becomes like a... For me, if it was $10, I would say no contest, I'd buy it for $10. $20, I'm still going to wait and see, but most likely we'll buy it at $20. If it was anything more than $20, I would say, nope, it's got to come down. And then I'd say something about around $20, maybe around $10, definitely. Haven't played JFG. It may be late. I do not know what JFG is standing for, as I recall it being a bit pricey. JFG. Huh. Sorry, but that's a huge brain fart. I'm not seeing that. I love talking about the video game industry because your job being a sales rep. So do you, like, so I love talking about and learning business models. Oh yeah, of course. So that's one thing too, yeah. I'm curious in the industry as a whole. In fact, back in high school when I was very interested in getting invested in the stock market, I really thought to myself, which game companies would I invest in? And I'm not joking. Every single one of them, if I would have invested back then, I could have done YouTube full time by now. Activision, which became Activision Blizzard, I would have made a killing on that merger. Activision was the one where I thought to myself, they've been around since 1980, and they've obviously adapted to the future, so that was one. EA was another one I would have invested in. Sony I would have invested in, although I probably would have sold off my stocks during the PlayStation 3 era. But I didn't even think about Nintendo. That's the thing. Nintendo was so far down the food chain by that point after the N64 and the GameCube. I didn't even consider Nintendo a long-term contender for investment. Of course, when the Wii came out, proved me wrong. Oh yes, and Apple. Back in 2003-ish, the iPod came out. I always wanted one, didn't have one, but I thought to myself, that's an interesting business model. Selling to the rich and making the people who can't afford it try to afford it. That is a business model that has worked out so well for the clothing industry. And I would say that's the reason why I know so much about the clothing industry is because I spent an abnormal amount of time in clothing stores as a kid, waiting on my mom shopping. When I say abnormal, is like some people say shop to your drop or shop to your kids drop. I remember we'd get to the mall on the weekends when they open. They'd open like 10 a.m. And I remember still being there when they closed up, the escalator shut off, and half the lights being off in the store as my mom was trying to check out. All day in that store. 12 hours easy. And it's kind of funny. You know, my mom would be like, oh, don't be such a baby. I'm like, yeah. My friends have already told me about this too, is that I've complained about that in the past because there was a specific store, I'm not going to say the name, there's a specific store that... Oh my gosh. Can I sacrifice something so I can get more top speed? I feel like I need the top speed. Can't get that. I'll buy that. A sliver of turning. Guess that's gonna be it. But anyway, so to the day that the store shut down, I think all of them ended up shutting down. I would not go into that store again because of how much time I spent in there as a kid. It wasn't every weekend, but it happened often enough for me to think, I never want to be in this store again. Spending one day out of my entire weekend in this store. And I'm not that big on that too. And here's the thing, we go to the mall, I would go, if they were being generous, they give me $5 to go to the arcade with, and $5 didn't get you anywhere. I would go to I would go to Suncoast Video, and I would go to Babbage's. And depending if we were in the other mall, I'd go to KB Toys. But that was only in one of the other malls, and that was it. I would get through those stores in maybe an hour because I'm a kid. I'd go through the arcade in about 10 minutes because $5 didn't buy you much, and then I spent the rest of the time waiting for the day to be over. No lunch break, no dinner break, nothing. Just And you know what's ironic justice is that when that store closed, they turned it into an arcade. And I hope when all this pandemic stuff's over that they are still open. I hope they come back because that is awesome. I wouldn't even go in there when that store closed and became something else because I didn't want to go to that physical space again. It's weird. It's very strange how much things can being pressed upon you as a kid. Like, I would go in that store and I would get anxiety, no matter what kind of a store it was. Like, I don't know what it was just imprinted into me. Okay, so this is definitely a harder track. I can barely talk and do this at the same time. But I'm going to keep trying. But yes, eventually they closed it down. Then a couple years ago it reopened as an arcade, and I was like, that is perfect. And I say ironic justice because I always thought to myself, man, if this store wasn't here, I wouldn't have to spend time in here. And now that it's an arcade, I love going there. I still think about it, though, when I go in there. Right before I walk in, I'm like, man, I remember how much time I spent in this space as a kid. Fudge. Oh, fudge. Only I didn't say fudge. Ooh. I do not remember this part at all. But this is really cool. I think I kind of do. Look at this. You got to avoid these objects floating in that air. This is pod racing. Look at that. This would have been a selling point for me back in the day for graphical prowess. Floating in that air was a graphical trick. The game looks the same whether you're on the ground or in the air, but for some reason, it looks like it's better graphics when you're floating through the air. Don't know how to describe that one.
It's a new lap record.
I'm still annihilating the crap out of everyone. I'm going to unlock everything in this game in one sitting. This could have been a complaint back in the day, too. I actually didn't look up any of the old reviews for this game. But I bet you, if they played it on average difficulty, they probably complained about how short the game is. And of course they're playing the Duel of the Fates. Luckily though, this is one of my favorite Star Wars songs. Oh, darn it. So I don't mind that they overuse it so much in these old games, but this was in every game. Which is funny, I don't think in Star Wars Episode 1, I don't think this song played in the game, but they did have the music video for this song on the beginning of the disc. I was trying to think, when you're battling Darth Maul in the end, I don't think it plays this song. At least on the PlayStation version, I don't... That's why I hit it last time. It rotates. Alright, here we go. Ooh. See what I mean? Like, the whole environment rotating around, it looks like it takes more graphical power to do that than it does anything else. This is 128 bits of processing power. Oh, I'm going to explode. Did you see that? Just like in the movie. Oh, sheesh. Nope. Still exploded an engine. This will be the first one. Okay, I take it back on the difficulty. I made it through the first time, but man, that second time, I had no chance of making it through there unscathed. Is Sebulba the #1 racer in each race? Because I did not pass him yet. I'm in second place. Here's the beginning. Okay, now I'm having a hard time shaking these two people behind me. So is this like Mario Kart style? There's #1. I said, is this like Mario Kart style difficulty? Where it hates the person in first? There we go. Took me a while to catch up to him, but I did. Okay, so the goal is not to crash into that wall next time, and I should get first again. And that's the chasm that starts out wide and then all of a sudden narrows. Problem is I don't remember exactly where it is. Is that the end of this corridor? It's exactly where the challenge is, because on your analog stick you gotta be very fine-tuned with it. Yes, it's right here. There. Whew. First time I successfully made it through there, that should be it. And now, just don't hit any big rocks. Okay, not terrible.
Come on, come on, come on. Work!
Pairing.
It's working! It's working!
If I would have saw a track like this in the episode 1 movie, I think people would have been a bit more impressed. Gosh darn it. That's gonna kill me. Oh, okay, good. I didn't even get to use my favorite non-curse word yet, which was, oh, fudgesicles. Or we did come up with a, what was it when I was looking at 1920s slang for curse words? Like, that's a bunch of bourgeois.
Yeah! I won!
Bourgeois apparently means cow excrement. Oh my gosh. Alright, Demon Rage says, I only buy my clothes anytime there is an offer or some 2 years max. You know what? Some of these shirts, if you guys realize on my channel, is I don't get rid of shirts very often, but again, I don't wear these shirts too often. When I'm out and about, I actually, because of work, I usually wear polos. So, like, these shirts lasted a while because I don't wear them too often. I only wear them when I'm on stream. I do wear them out sometimes, but this shirt's one that I've kind of retired. It's the oldest of my Star Wars shirts. I could beat this game tonight, guys. It's taken me a lot longer than it should, and it's already after midnight. Alright, let's see here. I'm not sure... the Switch New will do fine. I'm sure the Switch New will do fine. I'm not following that. Not a big fan of fashion. Yeah, as you can tell, I'm not the fashion kind of person. I have a lot of graphic T-shirts, but as a person interested in stocks company, I've thought of investing in CD Projekt Red. 10 years ago, I wouldn't, but I predict they'll be making a lot of money this upcoming generation. That's interesting. I would have to research that into that more to... Doesn't CD Projekt Red own GOG? I just want to be on Circuit City when parents were shopping. Oh, yeah. I loved going into like Best Buy, Circuit City, and things like that. Spencer's. Yeah, I would spend some time in there, but there was a problem. Since Spencer's kind of attracted the adolescent crowd, they didn't like kids spending a lot of time in there, so eventually they would chase me off. Me and my brother would usually go in at the same time, and if we did, we'd start playing with the stuff, and they'd shoo us out. We wouldn't get kicked out, but they're just like, you know what, they don't have any money, they'll just shoo me out. But yeah, I did go to Spencer's. Is Spencer's still around? I think, kind of as a novelty, I think I saw Spencer's at the last mall I was in. Don't quote me on that. I know Sharper Image went under. The Sharper Image stores, I don't think those are around anymore. You can probably still buy some of their stuff that they used to sell. You're the fashion bug there? Yeah. Once I get some money, probably like 40, I'm going to go out to my local game store and splurge. Yep. It's, I definitely enjoy the retro collecting more. Thankfully, I've had the money to do it these last couple of years, but that funding has dried up. I've gone through a lot more of my savings than I've really wanted to. So this is we are going to see the last track at least. This is the Spice Run mine. So this is kind of the Spice Mine Run, which is funny because this is supposed to be like the Kessel Run. And as we saw in Solo, this is nothing like what the Kessel Run, I guess, is after it was reimagined. I don't think when they wrote that script they were thinking, is this going to conflict with the 1999 Star Wars Episode 1 racer game? They probably didn't think that. I don't think they thought anything when they wrote that movie. Because after reading that Han Solo origin trilogy that was written, which apparently was not canon, but it was still a good story. I liked it. And the funny thing is, I kept thinking to myself, like, okay, so they started with him on Corellia, which is okay, good. And then I'm like, okay, now he's already in the Imperial Army. I'm like, holy crap, he's already in the smuggling stuff. I'm like, that was like they skipped over all three of those books within the first like 10 minutes of the movie. When I really thought to myself, they could have made a trilogy out of that, but anyway. Long story on that one, isn't it? Getting late for you, so it was a good night. Goodbye. Hey, thanks Savage Duck for joining us. I appreciate it. So are these races before Episode 1? If I can recall, Anakin in Episode 1, he never won a race before. Yeah, it makes no sense. because he only ever raced on Tatooine too. And then it's funny is that I also have Star Wars Racer Revenge. I bought it on the PlayStation 4 a long time ago when it was $1.99. So I thought about streaming that too, but it is getting late for me, so this is going to be the last race I do. But maybe if I have a different stream planned for tomorrow, but maybe later on this week, I'll stream Star Wars Racer Revenge, which is if Anakin, after he took a break from his Jedi training and started pod racing again. That was a storyline, and then I remember. Oh my gosh. So, and Jimmy says he's a big fan of racing games. Yep, I like racing games too, but racing games used to be like how people would judge how good a console is. Like I said, the graphical prowess of the Dreamcast is being shown off with this because these are huge tracks that at the time, PlayStation 1 and N64, those were your other console options. And this is providing you with PC and arcade quality 3D graphics of the time at home right away. So it was definitely good. The problem is Sony did an excellent job marketing the PlayStation 2. Can I buy this yet? I cannot. So I can't increase my top speed, that's for sure. Oh, it's each time it's resetting me. I definitely want better turning. Okay. I didn't realize that was resetting me. I'm like, why am I not getting more top speed? But yes, that's how we used to know if racing games were good or not. I'm sorry, if consoles were good or not was based on the racing games. Because if I were to show you this, if this came out in '99, which I'm pretty sure it did, may have been 2000. Oh, I didn't even notice that on the case. It says how to upload your score through the Sega Dreamcast network. So you would have leaderboards online. Again, something you didn't see on PlayStation 1 or N64. Didn't even really see that much on the PlayStation 2 or the GameCube. Xbox, you would have seen that on Xbox Live, but that was again revolutionary. That's why, and that's the thing too that I definitely did not realize, and I think part of the reason why Sega got out of the business, I guess the main reason why Sega got out of the console business was they were going broke. They did not have the money to keep doing what they were doing. They couldn't afford the losses on the console. They couldn't afford the console not selling well next to the PlayStation 2. They could, if they would have had the financial backing, they could have weathered the storm and built another Dreamcast that could compete better with everything and done all that other stuff. They could have, if Sega wasn't in such bad financial shape at the time. But I think another factor is to keep the Dreamcast going strong. I'm almost positive that Sega and Microsoft came into an agreement. Oh, that's not good. I wasn't paying attention. I think that Sega, somehow, the ideas that Sega came up with for the Dreamcast 2 got integrated into the Xbox. The Xbox is like what the Dreamcast should have been. And I'm able to see that now better than back then, because back then, I remember I almost, like it was like on a dime too. I almost thought to myself, I should get an Xbox instead of the PlayStation 2. But the only thing that was selling me on it was the Xbox prototype. Does anyone remember what the prototype for the Xbox original one looked like? That was a sleek console. That thing looked like a gaming machine. And then they did that bait and switch where the prototype turned into a black box with a green dot on it. And I really thought to myself, like, well, if I'm going to go for a black box, might as well get the one with backwards compatibility. There was a very slim time where I considered thinking maybe we should move to the Xbox. But another thing too is I did not like the original Xbox controller. What is that? What is the nickname for the original controller? For some reason, it makes me think of John Wayne when everyone says the nickname. It's called the Duke. That's why it's called the Duke. I did not like the original Xbox controller. The redesigned slim one that they made, and eventually the Xbox 360 controller, was better, but the analog sticks are just in a weird place for me. Not as bad as the N64, but still in a weird spot. So yeah, I view the Xbox to be like the Dreamcast too. And the only reason why I think that too is that every single Dreamcast has the words built with Microsoft Windows CE compatible tools. So Microsoft and Sega had a huge hand in the Dreamcast together. And I almost bet you that if the Dreamcast hadn't been dropped out of the marketplace, the Xbox might not have done so well. It didn't do anything near what Sony was doing with the PlayStation, but it might not even been good enough for Microsoft to say, well, we'll just go back to PC gaming and we'll be fine. Or we'll invest more into Sega and developing games for their console or something. Sad thing is, I'll just never know. I really think there was something. I think that Microsoft and Sega had something going on, and it could have been just something as simple as Microsoft was trying to steal what they could from Sega because Sega was leading in innovations at the time. And Microsoft has a strong history of that. See what somebody's doing and is doing well, and just copy and steal it. So there could have been that going on too. I could be reading more into their partnership than I'm actually thinking of. Because Nintendo definitely wouldn't partner with Microsoft. Sony was having a lot of success doing their own thing anyway, and after the bad blood they had with Nintendo, I don't think they were looking for a partner, so they probably weren't even into it, even if Microsoft had even wanted to approach them. If anything, Sony probably would have been interested in saying, oh, if you want to make games for the PlayStation, we'd like to see it be exclusive to the PlayStation. But again, that's something, like I said, I'm not fully informed on that subject. I'm drawing a conclusion based on the knowledge I have, and I don't have all the facts. So. Okay, so this is the easy path, apparently. And I was taking the hard path all that time. Where did my track position thing go? Did I turn that off? See, look at this. Is this one of the first games to have that orange filter, that orange hue that all those games had back in like the mid 2000s? Look at how orange this level is. Or it's just orange because it complements the blue on the pod racer so well. This is actually not the most challenging track for it being the last one. I think the most challenging track was the ice one, to tell you the truth. There was the other one where I couldn't make that jump. That one was challenging too, but I really feel like that level was only in there because they wanted to emphasize the strategy of what you upgrade on your pod racer. That's probably a level put in there for that 1-800-HELP number that they had here, or the 1-900-HELP number where you had to pay for it each time. It's just been a long time since I played this game, and for some reason I turned off my capture card, so I'm not getting any of this footage. But that's alright. This is meant to be a casual playthrough anyway, just among friends. But I will tell you this, if it's $20 and you can play this online with friends, maybe I could be convinced to do a stream where I partner up with someone else, with other people on the stream if they want to try this out. I'm definitely not going to buy it at launch, so that would be a little ways out. But maybe that'd be something I could be convinced to do. Alright. Big fan of racing games. Need for Speed Underground will always be your all-time favorite racing game. Of course, besides Mario Kart and Diddy Kong Racing. Yeah, I don't think people would consider I guess it's more arcade racing, but I don't think people consider those to be the same racing games. Like Mario Kart is not won based on skill alone. There's a random element of luck. Diddy Kong's racing, I assume, is the same. I've played it a few times, but not as much as Mario Kart, so not as familiar with it. Gran Turismo 3 made you want a PS2. Oh, yeah. Like I said, there were many reasons why I wanted a PS2, more than just going off to another console. Like, I was brand loyal for a while. I wanted an N64 because of Mario games. I wanted a PlayStation 2 because I wanted more Crash Bandicoot and Spyro. And that's funny because neither of those two games panned out. So I got in it for those games, but I ended up liking Jak and Daxter. I remember that was a game I followed. I followed the Jak and Daxter story for as long as from when they announced the game in like 1999, late 1999. They said that Naughty Dog was developing a game specifically for the PlayStation 2, and they were going to leave the Crash Bandicoot franchise behind. And ever since, I was like, oh, what is going to be their next thing? And they talked about Jak and Daxter. I'm like, what is that? And so I followed all their making-of videos. When they would come out in the magazines, I would get the disc for the PlayStation 2, and they'd show footage of it. It didn't come out at launch, but that was something I was looking forward to trying. So,
Fastest pod racer in the galaxy.
there it is. I just beat Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. If someone was actually playing this game without talking throughout the whole thing, they probably could get this in less than half the time than I did. Probably take a good half hour. But yeah, feel the force at 600 miles an hour and 4 feet off the ground. And it's funny, I didn't even realize this. I don't know if I can even get a good close-up of that. It says, that little dot there says that you can upload your scores to the Sega Dreamcast network. So you can see what your times are compared to everyone else. And this was on average difficulty. I didn't put it on easy, and I had a suspicious feeling that I shouldn't. So yeah, see, and then everything is just the same tracks again, but in a different order, and then probably harder. So that's the Executioner, yeah. So I've unlocked more racing modes, pretty much. Semi-Pro Executioner. Actually, are there more tracks you can unrace in the other tournament modes? I don't think there are. Let me look at this. You know what? Why am I even doing that? Oh, by the way, if you want more racer information, it says go to StarWarsRacer.com or the official Star Wars website. So, of course, before I catch up on comments and close out the stream, we're going to have to do that. So, let's go to, first, StarWarsRacer.com. And that is no longer a website. I wonder who owns it. Who is... if you guys don't know this tool, it's called Whois IP Lookup. Whois.net. That's the one I use. StarWarsRacer.com. It is for sale. No, the .net is for sale, and so is .cc. Oh no, it's for sale. So if somebody wants that domain for $12.99, you could. I'm not recommending it. I'm just saying that's interesting. If someone was interested in Star Wars Racer, that'd be something you can buy. There's a website with wow, it's like Wikipedia knew what I was going to type in beforehand. But anyway, back when Hillary was running for president in 2016, she actually had to pay a whole bunch of money to someone who figured out back in 2012 that she was going to run again in 2016. So he bought a whole bunch of like every single IP address you could think of, Hillary Clinton 2016, all this stuff, and she had to pay this person who already owned the domain a whole bunch of money so she can get a campaign website with that name, with her name in it, because he had basically bought them all. Smart thinking, but. Alright, so let's see what we got here. 20 years later, it received an HD remake that added online multiplayer functionality. Originally scheduled for May, but was delayed due to the pandemic. Let's see here. How many tracks? That's what I want to know. Player's character is equipped with a boost function, blah blah blah. 3 single player modes are available in game. In tournament mode, free race. Any previously unlocked course and unlocked car. Does not say how many tracks. Features a variety of tracks. That's all it says, is a variety. Let's just ask the question. How many tracks are in Star Wars Episode 1 Racer? Okay, 25 different tracks on 8 unique worlds. So, okay. So, the tracks may be different, and I'm wondering, are they counting reverse tracks as different ones? So, yeah, apparently there's more tracks. I didn't realize. Interesting. Alright, that answers that question. Somebody probably put it in the chat when I was Googling it. How many people are looking at me Googling stuff? 12 people. Alright, let's finish out the comments here. Is the remaster by Aspera Media already out on PS4? It's supposed to come out, I guess, sometime today, June 23rd. So it's supposed to be out sometime today. If you bought it digitally and pre-ordered it, you probably have access to it right now in the central time zone. Yep, thanks for the insight later. Yep, Demon Rage got you. Xbox was created to be a middle ground between PC gaming and consoles. It ran DirectX, which should have made porting easier. I don't think they truly achieved that until the Xbox One. Yeah, that was a big thing that Microsoft almost immediately abandoned. But then, yeah, with the crossplay on Xbox One, yep, I think you're right with that. I don't know if they pushed it out already. But for people that own a good PC, the Xbox One doesn't offer much to make it worth owning both. That is true. The only thing I can think of is that I was thinking of this summer. I'm gonna have a little extra money to do a project I want to do for a while. I thought about building a new gaming PC and building it from scratch myself. I've never done that. And unfortunately, I don't want to do it now because all the new consoles are coming out. And to tell you the truth, I mean, are the new consoles going to offer something that much better than the PCs are doing for the money? I mean, really, it's a cost savings thing. I can spend $2,000 to build a computer, which I don't have. I would have to put that on like a payment plan or something. But I could spend $2,000 on a computer, or potentially, what is it? They're saying $500, $600 for the PlayStation 5, and it's still backwards compatible, and it's supposed to run upscaled versions of, the older games. So, yeah, it's kind of taking the fun out of building a PC at this moment in time. So maybe I'll just save the money, buy a console, and bank the rest so I can at least get some money started in savings. I've been kind of behind on that, especially since I did some game collecting. But for people... I'm sorry, I already read that one. But you do make a good point, Scott. You definitely do. Okay, I'll see when I get one back home. In about 12 hours, yep. Like Ridge Racer 64 for the N64. That's an overlooked title sometimes, but I do like that title as well. Enjoys fixing electronics in our homework from the early 2000s. He was boycotting Microsoft. Yeah, when they were sued by the Federal Trade Commission. Yeah, that was a while ago. And that was something else too, where it really made Microsoft out to be this evil, they're going to take over the world thing. And that was probably what fueled my mind going, ooh, I don't want Microsoft. Microsoft's taking over and ruining everything. Before being shut down, you got an Atari 2600 Junior. 10 games for $20. Yep. See, that's the thing. If you look at one of my videos, my first Comic-Con event, I saw 2600 Junior by itself was $80. That is insane. And they wanted, for the original 6-switch model, not a heavy sixer, they wanted $140. I was like, where are you coming up with your pricing? And again, that's I say in the video too, I had to walk away from the deal. I grabbed a whole bunch of their games. And I'm like, all right, what can you do to make a bulk deal? Because they wanted $10 a piece for the games, and I said, I'm not going to get down, but I'm like, will you do $5 a game? And I only picked out the ones that I wanted. He said, no, price is firm, $10 a game. I said, well, come on, so you guys got to carry this back to your car. Like I was really trying to talk my way into it any way, shape, or form. To the point where I'm like, would you guys do $1 off per game? And he said, no, $10 a game. Like, and that's all he would like. That's pretty much all he was saying back to me. And so I just put everything back in the box. I put it back where they were because I'm a nice person. And I said, well, I hope you enjoy packing this back to your car. And I remember like the person in the booth next to him heard all this happen, and he told me that guy hasn't sold almost anything. I was like, I said, I personally think that he just wanted people to see his game collection, and he wanted to talk to people about video games, but he didn't actually want to sell anything. That was my personal thing, but I don't know. Whatever. Oh, that was your uncle. Sorry for spell check. No, that's all right. Never apologize for autocorrect. Favorite Star Wars game on Dreamcast is Star Wars Demolition. I think I have that. I know I have that for the PlayStation 1. Not sure if I have that for anything else. But yeah. Whew. That was a lot of talking for this late / early in the morning. This was an improv stream. It was started because a friend I was watching, we just got to talking. I said something about Star Wars coming out today, and I said, you know what, I was thinking about streaming that today. I thought about it earlier in the day, but I'm like, no, it's too late. I can't start it now. And he was really encouraging me, like, yeah, why not? You can do it now. I'm like, all right. I'm on vacation, so I can sleep in tomorrow, I guess. That'll be a good thing. But I do have to stream tomorrow for the TurboGrafx, so we'll get there in a little bit. Mackenzie asks, hey Tyler, do you think the Dreamcast would have done better if it had more third-party games take advantage of the hardware instead of enhanced PS1 and N64 games? Partially, like, that hurt. Sorry, I just banged my hand on the desk. But anyway, do I think the Dreamcast would have done better? Well, I think that's partially an unfair question, because the only games we got for the Dreamcast was when the Dreamcast was competing with the N64 and PS1. Do I think it would have done better if they had games that would compete with the PS2 and the Xbox and the GameCube? Obviously, Sega didn't think so. So, sorry, that's still stinging. That's going to be bruised. I hit that a lot harder than it sounded, I think. But anyway, so yeah, that's kind of what I say. That's why a lot of the games are enhanced PS1 and N64 games. So Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, obviously an enhanced game, but I think did Sega do this game in the arcades? I think they did. Who did? That's another question I'm going to ask. Star Wars Episode 1 Racer arcade was done by Sega. Look at the memory on me. I'm remembering things left and right. So, was this an enhanced version of the Sega arcade game, or was this an enhanced version of the N64 game? In my opinion, this performs much better than that. So, but yeah, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater is another one on here that comes to mind. That was definitely an enhanced PS4 game. But that's the thing too. The Xbox had that too. The Xbox had Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2X, which had 1 and 2 on the same disc, and it was enhanced for the Xbox. So, who knows? I guess we'll never know. I don't think Sega would never have been as popular as they wanted to be, but I think they could have put up more of a fight. They could have stopped Xbox really from gaining any control over the market. And I think, I don't know, it's part of the thing is though, is everyone, I'm sure people were expecting the Dreamcast to be backwards compatible with the Saturn. I know why it couldn't happen. The Sega Saturn was such a specialized piece of hardware that it's still hard. It's very hard to emulate today. So yeah. What is my opinion about Star Wars Squadrons, the next new Star Wars game that's coming out? See, I saw that they previewed that at the was that in the Sony press conference, or was that just one of the State of Play presentations? But anyway, I don't have much of an opinion on it yet, except I have been told I think from someone who was talking about this game coming out, that it is going to be a single player experience. It's going to be a start to finish. It's another one of those games, just like Fallen Order. But that's the thing, I haven't played Fallen Order yet, so I don't really have a big opinion on it yet, because I want to play Fallen Order first. And of course, I want to wait for it to drop down in price, because I don't buy too many things coming out that are brand new. I hope it does well, because if that's the direction that they went with the game, I want that to succeed, because those are the games I really want to see come out. Mackenzie says, I think what really hurts Sega, even with the Dreamcast, their heart and soul is in the arcade, for better or for worse. Well, and I think we're on the same opinion, but I want to paraphrase what you said. I think that Sega's heart and soul was in the hardware. I think they really cared more about the hardware in the arcade and the hardware in the home console, and it's the same thing for the Genesis too, all the way through. The difference being that Sega of America, during the entire time that the Genesis was out, Sega of America was the one that pushed the games. They pushed Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic 2, I think, was developed more by the American side of Sega. The sports games, getting into those franchises, all that was done from Sega of America. And when Tom Kalinske decided to leave the company, because Sega of Japan was like, you know what, we're taking over, we know what, and the third-party game developers jumped ship because the Saturn was such a debacled launch, it really put them in trouble, and they did not see, and that's even still to this day, how many good games from Sega do you get in a year anymore? I mean, Sonic Mania, what they said was the first good Sonic game in like 20 years. So even still to this day, I'm not saying that they're and I don't want you to think that I think every Sega game is bad. I'm just saying to just excuse me, choking on my own words here. I just think that Sega's heart has always been more in the hardware, and they're thinking that better hardware will make better games, and I think that comes more naturally to them. And that's, like I said, that was where they got their start. Sega made amazing hardware back in the 70s for arcades, even before computers were hooked up to them. So, I mean, they knew hardware. And the Sega, was it the SG-1000 and the Mark II, those weren't really engineered better, but Nintendo put them in a position where they needed to show their hardware skills, and they nailed it with the Master System, and they nailed it again with the Genesis. Unfortunately, they over-engineered the Saturn, in my opinion. Same thing with the add-ons for the Sega Genesis. I mean, that's the thing. Who could have made all three of those add-ons work on that console anyway? So yes, I agree with you. I think we're saying the same thing, but this is what happens when I talk for 2 hours straight. Throat's really dry, and I haven't been talking. I hope I haven't been talking in my teacher voice, because I want to have a voice to speak tomorrow. Found a lot of Xbox games in a cabinet in my basement. Added up the value, and it's worth, wow, over $100. Yep, that's I say that's good. The only thing I think of with that is that if it's worth, I mean, what's it worth to you? Would you rather play those games? Would you rather sell them? And either way, I hope you're happy with what you get. Fallen Order is $34.99 right now. Still a little pricey, I say. That's not bad. I was looking for $30. I have a rewards, financial points rewards system through a credit vendor that I use to buy video games with, and I think if I can get it around $30, I can get that game with my rewards. So if it gets down to $30, that'll probably be when I grab it. Because, yep, I think we both agree, but I blame Sega's fall from grace on both America and Japan equally. Both should have done better. Yes, I agree. But that's the thing. There was a huge loss when Sega of Japan started overruling and started putting... I mean, there was a huge conflict. Sega of America and Japan were butting heads so frequently, eventually Sega of Japan just said, you know what? this is Sega started in Japan. It's an American started it in Japan, which is kind of funny. American and the Japanese started it over there. It's just kind of, and once you know that and get there where they're coming from, yes. But I really think that when Sega of America could have put up a better fight, but they lost so many people. I mean, Tom Kalinske was one, but they lost so many of their good developers because it just wasn't worth that for them to keep fighting when they can just leave and go do something else. Tom Kalinske said that he just became disinterested, and I think it was only because he got tired of having nothing but success and then Sega of Japan still undercutting him. And that would bug the crap out of me too. It really would. So yes, I agree with you. I think both should have done better, but I understand why Sega of America couldn't. And I'll put more blame on Sega of Japan, honestly. But they're still around, and Sega of America is not really where it once was either, so I can't really say that for sure. Scott says, as a PC gamer, it hurts to admit, but honestly, if you're having to choose between a PC and the new consoles right now, the next gen is a better value for vanilla gaming, but I'll definitely be buying one. Yes, and that's the thing, where is gaming going in the future is where I keep thinking. Is it going to be on PC? Is it going to be on PlayStation? Is it going to be on Xbox? I own all three consoles now, but that's not how I started this generation. I had to start with one. I had to pick one. And the only reason why I got an Xbox is because they've been clearancing those things out. I got my Xbox One S for $149. This was a year and a half ago. I got it for $149 because it was $199 on clearance, and then there was another special where you can get $50 off another item. So I'm like, perfect, $149 Xbox One. And that's the first Xbox that I've purchased brand new ever. And I play it sometimes, but I just don't have the time, is the other thing. So I haven't played through a lot of the games that I bought for it that I really want to play. And maybe when it becomes retro, I'll play it more. But yeah, so that's why I said if I have to choose between PC and console gaming, I really think more game companies are focusing on console than PC. And I think overall popularity, more people are gaming on console. And that's just my perspective. Don't have an Xbox. I don't have an Xbox, but the games are at my dad's. Oh, okay, so yeah. The store sells a lot of Dreamcast stuff, also sell Xbox games and consoles. Yep, I'll say the original, the OG Xbox, the one that came out in 2001, just be careful when you go to buy one of those. If a retro game store is doing their job correctly, they will only buy the last model that came out because of defective drives. It's not that they're defective, it's that they're breaking easier. I think the original model was defective, but if you're going for OG Xbox, be cautious of that. That's the only thing I can say. And it's almost the same with the 360. I would stay away from any white model Xbox 360. I would go for the Slims, the last ones that came out, just because of the red rings of death and all that other stuff. So that's been my experience with them. The Xbox One, I haven't heard anything about the early models. I think they're okay. Just like Pokemon, you get started on one end, but you got to get all three. Yeah, got to catch them all, right? That's kind of weird how that worked out, because I only got a Wii U because it was being clearanced out. I got that for about, I think, the same price, $149, back when the Wii U was still Nintendo's flagship product, and they really wanted you to get into that console. Mine came with Nintendo Land, Mario Kart 8, Super Mario 3D World, and I forgot another game too that was not built in. It came with 2 game discs separately, but it had Super Mario 3D World and maybe it came with Super Smash Brothers. I mean, they had all 4 of those games for $150. I'm like, all right, I'll give it a shot at that price. So the $150 seems to be the max. But I paid $400 for my PS4 when I first got it. I bought it on launch weekend. And then I did that again. I paid another $400 again to buy the PlayStation 4 Pro. And that's why I said I keep bankrupting myself to do it. There's an old credit card commercial. I'm fond of bringing this credit card commercial up because it's just so true to my life. it shows this guy has a sports car, and he has like this huge SUV. He's got like a 4-car garage, and he's got this huge house, probably like 8 bedrooms, and each bedroom has their own private bathroom and then a guest bathroom, all that stuff. And he's got this huge like acreage property, and he says, and he's talking about, I have this, I have this, I have this. He goes, and you know how I do it? He goes, I'm up to my eyeballs in credit card debt. And I just started laughing. I'm like, oh my gosh, that is me. I need to get myself out from under it. I have made poor financial decisions investing in some of these video game collections. Not just video games, but other things too. So, yep. And he says, how do I do it? I'm up to my eyeballs in credit card debt. So if somebody asks me, how can I afford all this stuff? I'm like, I just say that because that's my go-to expression. And he's driving around, he's mowing, and he's like crying, and he says, somebody please help me. And the funny thing is, it's a credit card commercial, if I remember correctly. It's a commercial for another credit card. I'm just like, oh. Sega of Japan should have let America continue to do what made them do well, and Sega of America should have showed more love and faith for the Saturn. Yes, I agree. You know what the funny thing is? Yeah, and that's the thing where you say, if you look at Japan, the Saturn was a better success in Japan, but it wasn't a overwhelming success, because even still, Sega of Japan did two things wrong. Number one, before the Saturn got a market base, they cut off support for the Genesis. That's not Sega of America's fault. That's Sega of Japan's fault. Sega of America continued to support the Genesis because it was still selling. You put out a game for it, people were still buying it. Especially because the Saturn wasn't doing so hot. So, yeah, Sega of Japan cut off support for everything. The Nomad, the Game Gear, the Genesis 32X, the CD. They said nothing, just the Saturn. Before the Saturn could build up a customer base. That hurt. That shot themselves in the foot. And then they didn't learn from that mistake, and they did it again. Even though it was more successful in Japan, they shot themselves in the foot again and say, okay, in a year and a half, we're going to come out with a Dreamcast. We're stopping all support for the Saturn. We're not going to support any console until we can launch a new console. I don't know about you, but that's a bad business decision. That's why I said, what in the world could they have been thinking? And that's where I come to the conclusion that Sega had no idea why they did things, how or why they were doing things right. They had a whole bunch of success, but they couldn't stop innovating. That was something that did hurt them in the long run. They couldn't stop innovating. They were too stuck on looking at what was next and how to stay cutting edge, and they didn't take a look back to see, like, maybe we should do more of this. Maybe we should do more of that. They did come around a little bit on the Dreamcast, but I don't know if you see my point on that or not, if I'm making any sense at this point. It's 1 o'clock in the morning over here, so I'm sleep deprived at the moment now. Probably going to go for the PS5 for the exclusives. I've run 5700 build on my PC, so I can definitely play anything on the Xbox Series X. Just not 4K. Yeah. I don't even have... I have a 4K display, but I can't do anything in 8K, and I am not investing in 8K at all. 4K, I think everything... And I'm very bitterly divided on this point. 4K gaming is what I thought the PlayStation 4 was going to be able to do, and that is not the case. I felt very cheated by the PlayStation 4 Pro. The PlayStation 5 is what I thought the PlayStation 4 Pro was going to be. Doesn't even play 4K Blu-rays. Whatever. Anyway, so I feel a little bit bitten by that, but I'm willing to trust that Sony's going to make up for this in the future. But yes, 4K gaming to me, I guess until I see it for reals, I'm not going to be able to fully appreciate it, but I think 1080p gaming is perfectly fine. And that's the thing. When you can't tell, when you have to look, that's what I said, the game is still going to play the same. Your character's going to have detail, your environment's going to have detail. I'm not looking at each individual blade of grass and going, wow, look at the graphics. You get what I'm saying? It's those minute details is not worth the upgrade, in my opinion, to go to 8K gaming. That is not going to be of this generation. I saw, what was it? It's a year and a half ago. How long ago was it? I saw an 8K TV at a retailer in my area. I almost said the name. And I went up to the salesperson and said, "What in the world can you view on an 8K TV?" And the first thing he says, "Oh, it makes all your 4K content look so much better." And I said, "No, no, it doesn't." I was just like, "So there's no." I said, "What can I view today in 8K?" And he goes, "Oh, nothing. But you're preparing for the future." Okay, so the salesman has been told this stuff. What can you say to get people to buy an 8K TV? And they had nothing. There's nothing available for 8K. No, sorry, not going to invest in it. I feel cheated on my 4K TV because nothing, even still to this day, nothing is broadcast in 4K. What live stream are you watching on YouTube that's in 4K? Even the Sony press conference for all their 4K and 8K games was in 1080 60. And they even said, "You're going to have to watch the 4K video later if you really want the true experience." I'm like, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screens in front of me right now. Only one of them can show me something in 4K. The other 4 screens are in 1080. So yeah, I'm just... Yeah, if I'm at a game on a 65-inch screen, fine. 4K probably should be it, but 1080 is going to look fine too. I'm just, like I said, I'm not as excited for the upgrades for the price, other than the games that are coming out. And that's why I think Sony was really emphasizing the games on this generation. What can I play now that I couldn't play on my PlayStation 4 Pro? It's 2 o'clock over there. Yeah, you should play Mad Games Tycoon. I haven't even heard of that, but I will look that up after the stream. No, don't you worry. I expect both PS5 and Xbox Series X to look very closely like the Xbox 360 and the PS3. Am I reading that right? If that happens, I'll be so happy. More competition for the consumer. Hold on a second, let me see this. Oh, you expect like the difference between to sell very closely like that? Yeah. I don't know. I really don't. I think that Xbox Xbox is missing beats again, and Sony's marketing is just... They said Sony knows how to market a console. The good thing about Sony is that they can back it up. So, yeah, I'm not convinced that the Xbox has to make a comeback. And we as Americans, this is a cultural thing. We love a comeback story. We really do. But I don't know. I don't think it's going to push console sales unless they show me what is that gaming experience I couldn't get before. And Sony's having a hard time showing it too. What is this generation going to show me that I could not get on the PS4? And that's just not going to come out until they say how is VR going to be improved is going to be the biggest thing. And VR is nowhere near ready for these consoles. VR, surprisingly, is an afterthought. And that's kind of funny because VR was a mild success. It was the most successful branch out of a console accessory, and even VR for computers. That is a niche market. That's a niche market where it doesn't appeal to everyone, especially everyone that owns a console. So you have to own the console, you have to own the PC, then you have to own the VR to go with it. So, but even still, it's still an afterthought. You're going to be able to play your PlayStation 4 VR stuff on your PS5, but I don't get it. I really don't see. Maybe they can do more racers. Maybe the graphics will look better. VR was probably what they made this stuff for, and at launch, it's not gonna show me anything different. So anyway, I don't know where you guys are getting 4K. I'm only seeing 2K games on my shelf. Is that a pun? Yep, we got 2K, NBA 2K20, WWE 2K20. There are a lot of good videos on Mad Games Cartoon. I really like to... Okay. I'll like I said, I'll definitely look that up after we're done with the stream. I'll probably look it up tomorrow because I'm really tired now. I'm going to go to bed after this. I generally prefer when there is a clear winner in the console because it keeps me from having to have 2 consoles in order to play popular games with friends. Absolutely, and that's the thing. I've seen a lot of memes that are really voicing that, and I think you hit the nail right on the head, Scott, with that. Crossplay. That's what we want. Exclusives will determine which console I buy, but I don't want to have to buy a console because I have to have this console to play the same game that's on this console, but to play with my friends. And that's something that has really been opened up on this generation. I think that's, if I were to look back at the achievements of the PlayStation for the Wii U, because by the way, the Wii U is of this generation. The Switch, I count that in the next generation. The Switch is going to compete with the PS5 and the Xbox Series X. It was just the first. They were the first out with it. But anyway, the Wii U, the PS4, and the Xbox One, I think their biggest achievement so far that I can look back and say that's definitely an achievement of this generation is crossplay. Game here that I have here, this was in the disk drive of my PlayStation 4 when I brought it down here. Rocket League. Okay, this is available on crossplay. I can play people, I think, on PC, Switch, which Switch wasn't on there for a while, but I think they added it, Switch and Xbox. I can crossplay this game with anyone. Fortnite was probably another big contribution of that. So yeah, I think crossplay should continue and expand into this next generation. You know, let your exclusive games sell your console, and then if you want to play everything else, just make sure that you don't lose any of your third-party support. Absolutely love your PlayStation VR, all your physical VR games. Happy to own. We're now to look at these early VR games. Yep. Well, that's the thing too. VR is so much in its infancy. Game design, there are no standardized rules yet. I'm sure they figured out a few, but there are no standardized rules for VR game design. And that's something like a Astrobot Rescue Mission doesn't even need to be a VR game. It's cool and it offers gimmicks, but it's a fixed camera on a rail. So is that going to be something that continues on into the next generation of VR, or are they finally going to let you walk around on your own? In the same generation, I have a game called Apollo 11, which is an awesome game. It's only on digital though. It's an awesome game. It's not really a game, but it lets you follow in VR the entire Apollo 11 mission. You take part in it, then you can walk, and it ends with you being able to walk on the moon. I think you also do a spacewalk. You can, I mean, it's really cool. So, but that's a novel concept. That's not much of a game. There's not really a game that you can play out of that. It's more like watching it at a museum. And because I'm a history guy, I really like that stuff. But yes, I do like my PlayStation VR. My only problem with it is, and this is where I say it doesn't appeal to everyone, part of the problem is some people cannot see VR. And just honestly, it's the same way that some people can't see 3D. When they had that whole big gimmick back in the previous gen. But apparently I'm one of the few people that get motion sick, so I can't watch it for too long, and it hurts me so much because I love VR gaming. I wish I could play it more often. So I probably need like lorazepam or Dramamine or whatever they give people to keep you from getting motion sick. I'll probably need that medication to do that. But whenever I'm done with VR after about 15 or 20 minutes, I have a tremendous headache. I'm dizzy. I have to take a break. Which stinks because I love playing games, so that keeps me from wanting to go back. Because when I play a game, I could play this game I played for a couple hours tonight. And now I'm just chatting away with my opinions. So I could keep playing the game while chatting with my opinions, but I was hoping to end the stream soon because I do want to go to bed. So we'll finish up with a few more comments and then we'll call it a night. Mad Games Tycoon is on PlayStation 4 and Xbox. It's on everything pretty much. Okay. Even on Mac. Okay, so it truly is on everything. Man, remember, I have my Mac, and I remember that was the biggest thing people told me when I first got my Mac. If you do any PC gaming, you can't do it. But Mac is compatible with Windows, so I also have a section on my hard drive partitioned off, and I do have my Windows games on there, so they did transfer over. It just took some time. Had to buy a copy of Windows, though. Not good at saying it, but I like it when all consoles win. Like the SNES and Genesis, I hate seeing fanboys fight, but love watching the console manufacturers fight. Yeah. I mean, in a perfect world, I would love to see everyone live in peace and harmony. I just know the reality is Xbox is starting to get more defensive towards Sony, And Sony has always been aggressive in their advertising, and Nintendo's just like, and you can buy us. So Nintendo surprisingly was the first one to realize coexisting. Like that, when they realized that, that was their biggest and best thing that philosophy that they've still carried over to this day. When they made the Wii, someone made a conscious decision to say, we're going to make a console that a person who owns an Xbox or a PlayStation will also buy, or someone who's never owned a gaming console will buy. That was their best decision ever. They made a console that wasn't going to be the best. Scott says, got to go to bed too. Thanks for a great stream. Hope to catch another one soon. Well, I appreciate it. I'll be later on today, I guess. Tuesday at 6 p.m. Central Daylight Time, which is about, I can't do math right now, 17 hours away. I have another stream coming. Apparently there's a wait list already, so... The PS Wii and the Xbox Wii 60. Yes, everyone have depending on where you're at, have a good night, have a good morning. We will see you later in the next 17 hours. I don't know how to end this. I need to come up with a better way to end this. I need like an outro theme. I feel like I did a podcast today rather than a game stream. So have a great night, everyone, and I will see you all in the next one. I appreciate everyone who stuck around for this. Have a good night, everyone. Mackenzie, thanks for the comment, but I do have to go to bed, so save that for the next stream, would you? I can never remember where... There it is.